on Iran and its ballistic missile program. And it all comes as Iran's president is saying they're in a full-fledged war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe, saying they don't want his country to be stable.
That's Fox's Madison Scarpino. China is flexing its muscle near Taiwan, doing military drills with the Army and Navy all around the island it considers Chinese territory.
The move from China comes in response to U.S. arms sales to Taiwan in a statement from Japan's prime minister, who says his country's military could get involved if China were to take forcible action against Taiwan.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmelz. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Indiana's shifty weather conditions. Cloudy, 17 this morning in Indianapolis, but it feels like a -7. Some snow and strong wind gusts today, too, and a high of 33. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 9:02. A significant drop in the temperature. Today, we're waking up with temps below 20 after getting a weekend in the 60s. Mike Ryan, a forecaster at the National Weather Service in Indianapolis, says much of this week will be cold.
We will see some recovery on Tuesday, but then drop back down into the 20s later in the week before we start to rise again back into the 30s over the weekend. Quite a bit colder than what we've seen here over the last week, but nothing that's really abnormal for this time of year.
A wind advisory in effect until 5 this afternoon. Gusts could reach 50 miles per hour. On New Year's Eve, there's also a chance for snow. A woman is dead after police say she was shot on the city's southeast side Sunday. The woman was taken to a hospital in critical condition. After IMPD officers arrived, she later died there. Police later located a suspect after getting a description from witnesses to the shooting. He was pulled over and taken into custody. A man in Muncie also shot and killed over the weekend. He's been identified as 28-year-old Marcus Brown. Police say Brown forced his way into a home while armed, and the homeowner, 33-year-old Daniel Sanger, shot him. Police arrested Sanger on charges of obstruction of justice and unlawful carrying of a handgun. Indianapolis firefighters are mourning the loss of one of their own. Jake McDaniel reports.
Battalion Chief Barry Riddle died unexpectedly Saturday morning while driving to work. Riddle spent nearly 40 years with the Indianapolis Fire Department and was a mentor to countless firefighters. Riddle leaves behind his wife Cheryl and 2 sons, Nicholas and Jacob. Firefighters are asking for prayers as they go through this tough time. Jake McDaniel, 93. WIBC Mobile News.
Gas prices falling even more. The start of this week, AAA says the Indiana average is at $2.66 a gallon. The national average, $2.82. The ECHL and the Professional Hockey Players Association are in agreement on a new CBA. That was announced over the weekend. The agreement ends a 2-day strike and has to be ratified by the Board of Governors. And the Colts are eliminated from playoff contention again. That was the case even before Sunday's loss to the Jaguars. That's now 6 losses in a row. It also begs the question, have we seen the last of Phillip Rivers?
If it is, and again, I'm going to be on board and supportive of whatever the organization, Shane, and however that decision is going to come to be. I'm going to be on board to do what's best for the guys. I mean, if this was the last one, shoot, I told you guys I wasn't going to have any regrets.
The Colts have missed the playoffs for a 5th straight season. They take on the Texans to end the year on Sunday. Good morning, Matt Bear. How's the traffic looking?
What's happening, Jared? Looking at the north side, westbound 465 at Allisonville Road. It's a stall blocking the left lane. The traffic is cleared out, so we don't have a delay. Just watch that left lane as you're making your way through. Traffic sponsored by Super Shore. Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get Super Shore. Now, kind of sure, not pretty sure, but Super Shore coming soon. I'm Matt Bear with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
You know exactly why you need to remodel that kitchen of yours. The space, it's outdated. You can't move around like you used to. It doesn't work like it needs to. You want to entertain and you want to improve your quality of life. This can happen, just not with the kitchen you have. You need to call Booher Remodeling, B-O-O-H-E-R, BooherRemodeling.com. They could take that old kitchen that's deteriorating and broken down and turn it into something that works for you and your family. Their 5-step design process from start to finish, the consultation, the preliminary design, the design development, getting all the documents together, and then getting it done. The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. Booher Remodeling will guide you through the entire process, starting with the free initial consultation, and they stand behind their work with a 2-year workmanship guarantee. Create that new kitchen. Design experts can use an existing layout or begin completely from scratch. Talk to Booher Remodeling today. B-O-O-H-E-R, BooherRemodeling.com. That's BooherRemodeling.com.
The forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Wind advisory until 5 p.m. We're mostly cloudy, blustery, and cold. A few flurries, a high of 27. Wind chills into the single digits. Mostly cloudy tonight, a low of 16. Wind chills near 0. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8's Marcus Bailey, 93 WIBC.
And I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Kendall and Casey starts now.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. I am neither Kendall nor Casey. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Kylan is hanging out on special assignment as well. And I believe Matt Bear just had to leave. Matt Bear does not do this show, but I will miss him for the 3 hours that I'm on the air now, and there is no Matt Bear. I assume he's in studio somewhere hearing me say this, which is totally fine. Half of this show can be brought to you by the Matt and Craig Excellent Podcast, which is the show that he and I do that I highly suggest you check out. All right, let's do some serious stuff first. We are still in the holiday season, so I don't intend to do a lot of serious today, but I'll do some of it. And this is really interesting to me. This is only like a 38-second clip, and it's very old. This is not new. This is September of 2024, deciding to play it here because you have to listen to what Caitlin Collins on CNN says. No relation, by the way, not related to her at all. Thank God. Caitlin Collins is crapping all over Trump and Vance and talking about how racist they are. And all of it is couched under how mean, apparently, Trump is to Somalians or Somalian refugees. And that seems interesting in the context of December of 2025 and all the fraud that happened in Minnesota and how many Somalian refugees were tied to it. And actually, there was a viral video, and maybe you've seen this yet, maybe not. There's a viral video of a young man who's, I think, called an independent journalist. A lot of people who put stuff up on social media and wind up with a following describe themselves as independent journalists. But he goes from place to place showing you all the ridiculous fraud locations that exist in Minnesota that are definitely not real establishments, but are getting millions of dollars in money. One of them, the Learning Center, actually misspelled the word learning. I think there's no N at the end of it, which is kind of weird. That if you were going to the Learning Center and it got millions of dollars to teach people stuff, that they would misspell the word at the top of the name. But the businesses were all locked, closed. Most of them had no signage at all. So just complete crap, like the kind of places that no one ever checked on to see if they were real. So the amount of fraud through the roof. Let's hear how Caitlin Collins, says that Trump and Vance are racist because they're saying some of this stuff out loud.
This moment in a bigger picture does harken back to one that we've seen before on the campaign trail, like when Donald Trump said this when he was in Minnesota in 2016 about Somali refugees.
Here in Minnesota, you've seen firsthand the problems caused with faulty refugee vetting, with large numbers of Somali refugees coming into your state without your knowledge, without your support or approval.
My next source knows firsthand what follows political rhetoric like that. The Democrat from Minnesota, Representative Ilhan.
I'll stop it right there. Of course, she had Ilhan Omar in 2024 on to talk about this, too. Ilhan seems very closely tied to a lot of the money. Does that mean everybody who comes from a certain country is benefiting from fraud? Of course not. It's ridiculous that you have to say that stuff in the society we're in now, because that's how the left wants to turn the conversation into like, I'm a bad person. They don't want to talk about the real thing. They don't want to have a discussion about how bad it is to have this ridiculous amount of fraud and how it's not possible for Tim Walz to have no idea this was going on and others to have no idea they're going on. Like all those things, the substance of the conversation can be ignored if you tell me or claim that Trump or Vance or anybody's a racist. Like, yeah, they're terrible people. And to be totally honest, and I've heard this discussed quite a few times, this was part of the way that they made so much money. These fraudsters that were taking millions of dollars from taxpayers, every time that something got hung up, every time that something wasn't funded as quickly as it was supposed to be, someone came toward the politicians, like sent emails and whatnot, came after them, and they said, this is racism. If you don't fund this for us, you're being a racist. And the left catered to that because they're terrified of being called that because they weaponize it against the right. I have to be sexist. I have to be racist. I have to be all these things. I can't possibly just want to have a conversation about how this or that is being misused, ridiculous, unfair, etc. All those things. All right. I want to play this audio too. This is Scott Jennings. He's talking about a Nobel Prize for President Trump in 2026. Of course, Trump, our president, was kind of hopeful that he'd get one in 2025. Didn't happen. Many people thought that he was robbed. And the person who actually won a Nobel Prize is tied to a lot of the ongoing craziness in places like Venezuela. But nonetheless, 2026, whole new solution. And I love that ABC immediately knee-jerk reacted to it. And Scott Jennings came back saying, this is the reason why it is so hard to have conversations like this. More or less, this is the reason why we can't even discuss these topics, because you've decided from jump it's a horrible idea, even if, say, there's peace in Ukraine and Russia, which sounds like we're getting closer to that. Here we go.
Nobel Prize. I think Donald Trump's going to win the Nobel Prize, and we'll all.
Why? Because he solved the Ukraine.
I think that we will see an end to the war this year. We should pray for an end to this killing and this war.
Yeah, we should pray for an end to the killing and the war. We shouldn't get mad if you're Jonathan Karl and be like, why? Why? Because of the end of the fight in Ukraine? Is that why Nobel Prize is possible for the President of the United States? Yeah, is the answer to that question. Yes, that is a way that is possible. And Zelensky and Trump met, and apparently the end result of that meeting is that we're much closer to peace, which is a good thing. Again, I don't get the cheering against someone because you don't like them, even if the thing that they're doing is something that you should like. It doesn't matter who you are and what it is. If Biden had done good stuff in office, I would have acknowledged it. But Biden, by and large, didn't even know he was in office. It was hard for him to do anything good while there. But nonetheless, I think that's part of the reason that this is so ridiculous and so difficult, again, to have these conversations without someone yelling and screaming all kinds of crazy stuff at you. All right, there's one other thing out there that I do want to talk about, and I have to decide exactly how I'm going to do it because it's not going to be easy to discuss it, mostly because the audio is stuff I'm not sure I'm going to play. And I cleaned it up. I could play it. But Dave Chappelle has a comedy special that's out. It's been out on Netflix for a little bit now. And he talked about Charlie Kirk and the comparisons made to Martin Luther King Jr. And Dave Chappelle, of course, belittled those. He made fun of those. He thought they were ridiculous and insane. And the best joke he made about it, I will be honest about this, Dave Chappelle, was if Martin Luther King had to be a social media influencer at the time when he was an important figure in our society, it would have been odd. It would not have been as authentic as the human being that is Martin Luther King, the way that people remember him. He did not ask for people to like and subscribe and all that stuff. And that was a pretty good joke. I'll be honest about that. But I do think that there are some missed comparisons that are deserved. And so I kind of want to dive into that. And I also want to dive into how Chappelle joked about it and didn't necessarily go as far as people are claiming he went, because I did watch the special. But, again, it's just interesting that as we do this stuff, the people who say it on a certain side or whatever are, uniquely focused on. And then if you say something the other way, I think that the pitchforks come out and people try to attack you and things go crazy. So there's a little bit of oddness, at the very least, in how we say that. I'm going to stop for a second because, Kylan, I don't remember when I break for this show. I know when I break for the other show that I fill it on, and I've filled in a few times now on Kendall and Casey. I don't remember when my first commercial is supposed to be.
Kendall and
Can
Casey,
you tell me that?
You can do it now.
What?
You can do it in 2 minutes. Whatever
Okay. What do you want? What do you want? I got 2 minutes in me if you want me to do two more. You tell me.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, let's do it. Well, then I'll do a little bit of the Dave Chappelle stuff. So to me, what I thought was really interesting, I heard from like 3 or 4 friends of mine that had texted me after they watched the special over the holiday weekend, which was weird because I've been a fairly big, I don't know if that's the right word. I've been a person very focused on the death of Charlie Kirk and the meaning of it. And not the way that crazy people like Candace Owens are. I'm not hunting for conspiracy theory. But I do believe that there is a tremendous amount of significance in that person's death. more so than even the people. And I wasn't a huge fan of Charlie. I didn't watch everything that Charlie put out there, Turning Point USA put out there. So it wasn't like I was a passionate supporter. And when he died, it hit me uniquely hard. It's the opposite, actually. I was someone who definitely knew who he was, respected the person, thought highly of him, but barely consumed any of his content. And then when he died, he has such a tremendous amount of stuff out there of him debating and showing up at college campuses or going to Oxford, all kinds of stuff, that the thing I think is more significant than anything else in comparing him to Martin Luther King Jr. or any important historical figure is how much he might mean in the future. And the only reason that I think Charlie Kirk has a lasting impression on society is because of how much stuff you can go out and see of him, how many things you can go back and look, and then you can start to form the opinion of why he was killed, that he was killed for his beliefs. And that is also very similar to people like Martin Luther King Jr., not necessarily just him, but people like him. So I think it's interesting. I'll dive into it more a little bit later. We'll go deeper there. But the truth to me, and it's regardless, it's not because of the positions that Charlie took on issues. I want that to be clear. Not that I disagree with all of them or agree with all of them, because I don't agree or disagree with everything anyone does. But I will say that I think it's the potential for the impact of the quantity of the information that's out there. But all right, we'll take a break. We'll do a lot more. Craig Collins filling in, Kylan hanging out on the Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Out for Trump 1 year later, the highs, the lows, how we win the midterms, happening at the Hyatt Regency, downtown Indianapolis. The bourbon will flow, the food will be fantastic. We're going to go over Trump's past year and how we use that to win the midterms. It's going to be informing, entertaining, and very, very funny. I promise. Join us, Trump 1 year later, brought to you by Premier Arms, PA Jewelers, Defiance Beef, Chimney Solutions, and WIBC. Get your tickets at WIBC.com.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here with a special message for my friends at Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling.
Thanks, Pat. Jack Hope here. 2025 was a year of growth for us as we added HVAC and electrical services to our business. This growth was due in large part to customers like you. Your support, your loyalty, and your trust has shaped Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling into who we are today. Thank you for making this year one to remember and for continuing to welcome us into your homes.
Of all the times to buy new Lincoln, right now is the very best time at Tom Roush Lincoln. $9,000 off a new Lincoln Corsair, $9,000 off a new Lincoln Nautilus, or $9,000 off a new Lincoln Aviator. Your choice of any of these great luxury cars, $9,000 off. So come get that new Lincoln from Tom Roush Lincoln, where our family's been serving yours for over 53 years.
Corsair stock number L25277, MSRP 5220. Nautilus stock number L25270, MSRP 57235. Aviator stock number L25246, MSRP 65165. See dealer for complete offer details.
You still thinking job change in the new year? Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy. IT? Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI. That's what I did. Really? How? Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up. Sweet. Are classes online or on campus? Both. Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If your end of summer plans don't include a trip to Macy's, then you're missing out because our Labor Day sale has huge savings to wrap up the season in style. Like dresses from Karl Lagerfeld and INC, 100 and under. Plus, just what you need for fall, like Levi's for your whole crew, 30 to 40% off. It's also the best time to update your home with our lowest prices of the season on furniture, mattresses, and more. Hurry in. Macy's Labor Day sale is going on now. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Heat and cool places where ductwork won't fit using Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits. You can even wrap them to match your decor.
Find out more at absolutecomfort.org.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC, just a couple days before New Year's Eve. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. Kylan is hanging out, producer Kylan on special assignment 2. How was the holiday? Kylan, let me ask you that. How were things for you on Christmas, days after it? Have you been working a lot? I imagine you have.
I'm pretty similar to you where you're always filling in for holiday people, but
yes.
I'm still able to get all the holidays in. Still got it with all my family and more. So
nice.
Can't complain.
Get anything fancy for Christmas you're happy about?
I got a standing mixer.
Oh my God. A
I'm
standing
pretty hyped
mixer is
about
amazing. Are you going to be a DJ?
No, a standing like
Okay.
a baking mixer.
Oh, that's okay. That's not at all what I thought. I thought you meant that you got a whole mixing set
No.
for
Oh my
music
gosh,
and being a
imagine
DJ. Why would you want to bake standing up? Can I ask you that?
So the standing mixer, you set the bowl into it and it just automatically stirs it for you. So you don't have to use your hand mixer or anything. You just set it.
Oh, right. Well, you can
And then you
tell
can
how
pull up
much
a
I
chair.
understand about cooking by the questions I'm asking in response to the thing you said. You can tell how good I am at this. So thank you. So you don't have to use your hand mixer. Well, thank God for that, because that's difficult. Those things are hard. So I've never baked anything in my life. Are you a good baker?
I enjoy baking. I don't do a whole lot of it actually homemade, but maybe now I will because it's going to be a lot more efficient. The first thing that I used it for was mashed potatoes, though. So some
gotcha.
homemade, chunky, nice. Well, I guess not. Now it's not chunky because it's going to be smooth.
Yeah, there you go.
This
Right.
thing.
Right. Wonderful. I want to warn you about something. Now that you're talking publicly at a radio station about being able to cook things, they're going to want you to bring stuff to them. All the people you work with are going to want cookies and all kinds of items. That is how it works. Anytime you talk on the radio about being good at cooking, the people around you are used to getting free stuff occasionally. That's the nice thing about being in radio. So now they want some free stuff from you. I'm just
feel
warning
like
you out loud.
At this point, you're the one I work with the most for the holidays.
Really?
And I don't know how I
Nice.
give that to you. I'm going to have to mail it to you.
Yeah, that's fine. We can figure it out. You know what's funny about okay, actually, you just mentioned something. I live in Houston, Texas. I actually used to live in South Bend, Indiana. So maybe one of the reasons I wind up on WIBC is because of my connection to Indiana. But I'm not currently there. Tonight, the Pacers will be playing the Rockets here in Houston. So I'm going to go to that, mostly because the tickets were actually incredibly cheap. No offense to either team. The Rockets are actually quite good. I think the Pacers are also good. But I do the last minute ticket thing on Game Time, which is an app. And then this weekend, the Colts will be playing the Texans also in Houston. Those tickets are more expensive. So I'm contemplating going to that game. I haven't officially decided yet. But the reason I want to go to this stuff is because of WIBC. I want to go to see the Pacers tonight and the Colts on Sunday, partly because I work at this radio station. And it just so happens that Indianapolis teams are in town all week.
How perfect
How odd is
that?
I know. You see, I couldn't believe it was both because my Game Time app popped up to offer me, it was like $7 tickets to go see the Rockets tonight. And I was like, I can't say no to that. They're going to be nosebleed seats, but why not? And it was the Pacers. And then as I looked at the weekend schedule, I'm like, I just can't believe that Indianapolis is here. They're on vacation in Texas while I'm on vacation doing stuff in Indianapolis. So it just seemed perfect. Maybe I'll break down the game. Maybe I'll dive deep tomorrow into. No, don't do that because I probably won't unless we have someone from the sports department jump in with me to do it. But who knows? But yeah, it'll be fun. And my wife has never been to an NBA basketball game. So I'm kind of excited to take her to her first one ever because she grew up liking Michael Jordan's Bulls like me, which I know is sacrilege to say in Indiana, but it's true. And so now she'll actually finally get to see a game. We didn't go the entire time we lived in Chicago. and she liked the Bulls, and she criticizes me heavily for not bringing her to a game. It never worked out where like there was a team she wanted to see them play, and the Bulls were not very good at basketball. And now that we live here, it seems better. But I'm probably a bad husband, I guess is what I'm saying. I think that's the takeaway of this entire segment is that I've screwed up somehow in obviously, almost unfixable ways. Although the Bulls, I think, also come to town soon too. So maybe I'll take her to that game as well. We'll see. All right. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I'm sure that the Indianapolis players are happy to be over in Texas right now because they're missing a winter blizzard that's out our window at the moment.
How bad is it weather-wise
there? It's not as bad as New York, but it's really cold and not a lot of snow. It's just flurrying back into the winter months. But then,
well, here, go ahead, keep going.
The Indianapolis Colts are now out of the playoffs, so maybe your tickets will drop down and be even cheaper by Sunday.
Oh, that's true. You're right, because they were officially eliminated. I think the Texans have a really, really difficult road to actually win their division, which means the game probably means nothing. Which hopefully then you're right, the price falls. Here's the thing I'm going to do, and I hated it all the time that I lived in Indiana or Chicago or whatever. But yeah, I see the temperature is pretty bad there. You're in the 20s for the high today and stuff, and there's going to be snow and things in Indianapolis. So not fun at all. Here in Houston, it's like 70 today. So I hate when people did that when I lived in other places. I kind of like doing it to all my friends that are still in Indiana now, and apparently that's everybody at WIBC. Actually, it's only in the 50s. I just looked up the weather, but I think we're going to hit the 70s at some point today. So, not so bad to live here. You're right that probably the Colts and everybody, they're very happy that they're coming this way in the near future.
I think I'm going to hop on a plane and hand deliver my cookies to you.
There you go.
There we
go. Come
Yeah.
up. Hey, there's some radio stations over here that are in the family with you guys. We could do the show from one of those studios if you come on by. You just got to get the station to pay for it. Kylan, which I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to make that work. No. Just say you got to do a studio tour of, a sister station and then see how that goes. All right. I do have one last thing that I'll throw out there, and I know we got to take a break in about a minute, so I'll probably talk about this more later. The 4 tips to living a longer life is something that I saw online. Research from this year shows the importance of certain things. There is also a high focus or a lot of significance to GLP-1 drugs, which are drugs that help you drop weight because a whole lot of people might need help with that. And apparently the drugs are going to be more and more accessible. So I thought that was interesting that there was a end of the year story out there, as often you see them, that talks about the ways to be healthy next year, the 4 things most important about, anti-aging type of thinking. At least according to the story, and that one of the things was get a certain drug, get a specific drug to make you thinner as soon as possible without having to go to the gym. I thought that was interesting. So I'll talk about that more in a bit. We got a lot of other stuff coming up. Craig Collins filling in on Kendall and Casey, 93 WIBC with Kylan hanging out. You got news coming up and a lot more in just a bit.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or Sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1-day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kendall. Outside of Advent's 4 walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
Exercise Incorporated wants you to start changing your life in 20 minutes a week this month. It's Terry Stacy, and Exercise Inc. only makes this offer once a year in December. If you come in for a free consultation in the month of December, you'll get 2 free sessions just for trying it out, and you don't even have to sign up. Exercise Inc. is a 20-minute once-a-week workout program that will help you get stronger, have more energy, and just feel better. This program was developed to help women with osteoporosis, but it will help both women and men get a lot stronger. Their program will also teach you simple nutritional habits that will help you lose weight and keep it off. Most importantly, you'll have a coach who will hold you accountable in reaching your goals. You don't want to miss this offer. Come in for a free consultation in the month of December, and you'll get 2 free sessions just for trying it out. Exercise Inc., Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and now in Fishers, exerciseinc.com.
Hi, I'm Lacey, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. And yes, I'm actually a jeweler. I bring dream engagement rings to life every day in our jeweler's workshop. When I hand set your diamond into your ring, I think about creating a piece you'll wear for a lifetime. I pay attention to the smallest details and treat every ring with the same care and craftsmanship, no matter the size or price. Come check us out at your nearby store. Our engagement rings are made with love from our hands to yours, because a friend knows your love deserves the highest quality. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Hey, nice job, Pete. I like those clean lines. Fellas, do we have anyone that can get to Greenport today?
At Corey's Landscaping, the staffing plan is in the weeds.
Anthony, we need that leaf blower over here. 3 more new customer requests just came in. Who wants to work some overtime?
He needs to dig up quality landscapers, and fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Still trying to end the war. I'm Jarrett Lewis. It's now 9:33. President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky say they are confident that a deal can be reached to end the war with Russia after meeting at Mar-a-Lago.
Presidents Trump and Zelensky are saying that their meeting yesterday was excellent. They say they're about 90% of the way there when it comes to a deal. They're making a lot of progress, but they do acknowledge there are some issues.
I think we're doing very well. We could be very close. There are 1 or 2 very thorny issues, very tough issues. But I think we're doing very well.
Some of those issues are territorial concessions, which is very sensitive for Ukrainians. And Zelensky says there would need to be a referendum to give up any territory. Other big sticking points of the peace plan are security guarantees and demilitarization zones.
Fox's Madison Scarpino reporting the U.S. reportedly offered security guarantees to Ukraine for a 15-year period, but Kyiv prefers a commitment of up to 50 years from the U.S. A helicopter pilot is dead. Another pilot has injuries following a collision between 2 choppers mid-air on Sunday in a township in New Jersey. The FAA and NTSB is investigating. And FBI Director Kash Patel says they are investigating large-scale fraud of federal programs in the state of Minnesota. Your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management. Markets slipping. The Dow's down 156 points to 48,710. The S&P 500 also in the red, down 34 points, 6,929. And the NASDAQ is down 184 points to 25,644. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Can you believe the year's almost over? Completing tasks before the end of the year can help you start fresh and organized in 2026. It's time to address the things in your home that you've been ignoring. If you have any drywall cracks, cracked bricks, floor and wall gaps, uneven floors, sticking windows and doors, or bowed walls, Indiana Foundation Service knows that all of these signs point to major damage building up in your foundation, and it will only get worse over time. But don't worry, with a free foundation inspection from Indiana Foundation Service, the team's experts will identify your home's issue at the source and provide you with a permanent solution. You'll want to get ahead of these problems sooner rather than later. Visit IndianaFoundation.com today to book your free inspection with no obligation quote included. Indiana Foundation Service. There's a reason they're the trusted local experts.
Indiana Foundation Service. Reliability from the ground up.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. A bunch of stuff out there to talk about, a bunch of stuff in the news. Let's do a couple things real quick first. I was mentioning this earlier. Nick Shirley is the name of the YouTuber. He calls himself an independent journalist, as most people who have a following, who talk about news, who aren't tied to any sort of news outlet, call themselves. But anyway, he went to a bunch of the places that are the very focused on fraudulent establishments where Minnesota has been giving a lot of money to Somalian-connected companies that are not doing any of the things that they claim to be doing. Here's a couple quick thoughts about this before I actually hit play on any audio. Why didn't anyone else in establishment news media try to do this? Oh, that's right. They don't actually want to tell you the news. They want to do something very different. This seems like a very obvious local news decision. And a YouTuber is the one who did it. It lit up social media. People were paying attention to this a bunch. He has 1 million subscribers. So it was very easy. Like, the funny thing about mainstream local news is they love to be outside at an establishment that makes no sense for them to be outside at. You know, if they talk about the weather, they're outside in the street where it's snowing. You don't need to put the reporter on the street there and show us how bad the snow is. We get it if we live wherever the place is that's having the bad weather. We don't need the additional ad. They'll stand outside a town hall and be like, here, earlier today, this thing happened. But at no point did anyone in mainstream news media in Minneapolis or Minnesota at all go to one of the places and broadcast outside it. So the first time the American people or anyone who paid attention on social media got to see just how ridiculous these places are, it was because of a YouTuber. So that matters in and of itself, I think. But it's also spurned a lot of other, or it's inspired is a better word, a lot of other people to try to check on some of this stuff. So this is a viral video now for some dude named Jake, who's I don't think anywhere near as popular as Nick Shirley is, where he called one of the establishments that went viral in the video. And this is one of the ones they're standing outside of. I think this is one of the ones where someone came up and identified Nick and his friend as ICE. And so there was a person yelling in the background of one of these videos, don't open the doors, ICE is outside. And they weren't ICE. It had nothing to do with ICE. And so that was a weird sort of like liberal superhero moment where someone was trying to save people from a thing that wasn't happening. But nonetheless, I want to play this because this guy calls one of the establishments and is shocked to see where the phone number is routed, where the actual answer goes. And granted, there's a few rings in here that I could have cut out. I didn't do it. Here we go.
And this is the business right here.
This is
Sweet
it.
Angel Child Care in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Nice.
Now,
well done.
listen to where this phone number goes to when you call this child care center.
Yes, sir. By the way, something I really love about this, and it's going to ring a couple times, I'm going to turn it down a little bit, is how many people now feel like they're reporting the news because news isn't doing it. And so this guy calling this number and the, amount of excitement he has in his voice to do it is partly because no one else is doing this stuff.
Contacting the office of Governor Tim Walz and
Oh!
Governor Peggy Flanagan.
And then he drops his phone. I love that. Yes, the phone number to some of the establishments that were fake, that had no one actually going to them, that were getting millions of dollars of government funding, the phone number actually routed to the office of Tim Walz, which that seems bad. That seems like a thing you probably don't want to have happen if you're Tim Walz and say you have no idea how any of this fraud is working. And obviously, we're just after an election cycle in which Kamala Harris raised a tremendous amount of money, more money than you've ever seen raised by anybody who ran a campaign for only a couple months, and got a lot of money from Biden, too. And then, of course, lost spectacularly in the election and spent a lot of that money on weird stuff. That was another big thing that came out after the election cycle was over, is that somehow, some way, the Harris campaign was in debt. And it had raised tremendous amounts of money trying to beat President Trump. And so it goes to ask, where does the money go? The money that gets funneled to these companies, where is it going next? How much of it gets back into campaigns? And does that because these people want more checks as well? They obviously are willing to help embezzle the funds if they keep cashing in on it. All of these things are questions we definitely deserve answers to. And it's just sort of insane to watch regular people, or what we're now calling independent journalists, figure this stuff out. because regular mainstream media has no interest in doing it. By the way, one last thing about Walz. He put up a post on social media. He's attempting to defend himself and doing so in a very odd way. So he tried to brag about the things that Minnesota is ranked highly in. So his post said they're number 8 in safety, number 5 to live in, number 3 for job availability. They are the second state to raise a family and second state to retire in, according to some stat out there that I don't even know if that's heavily agreed upon. But the thing that I love about this, Tim Walz put this up on social media. I think he also said it's number 1 and they won't quit fighting for you. And then a lot of people said, you're missing something, bud. There's something else that seems to be, a highly ranked thing for Minnesota that's not there. And that would be number 1 in fraud, or at least in very specific Somalian fraud that's taking place in your state. You're easily number 1 in that. So you could have definitely bragged a little bit harder about the success you're having there and how it's insane, to be honest. I meant to not go on too long about this, and I can't help it. The further this rabbit hole goes, the more information we learn about this, the more likely it is that this is just the tip of the iceberg, at least to me, of the amount of other schemes like this that are happening everywhere else in the country. Because it's so blatant, it's so insane, and it's so impossible that if you were doing your job at all, you could allow this to happen. Like, you could have visited any of these locations that the YouTuber goes to easily assess that they're completely crap before giving them millions of dollars. And even more so than that, the ability to call some of these places and get the office of Tim Walz, it's just insane. It's just the kind of thing that makes someone go crazy, who's called a conspiracy theorist, your uncle, who gets yelled at every holiday that he's the crazy one in the room when this sort of thing happens. Because then that person feels very much like they're the only sane person in a lot of these rooms, even if they do say some stuff too that's crazy. And by the way, actually to that, I know I'm bouncing around here. I can't help it. This is what I do when I have a longer form segment to talk with you. I do think that Candace Owens is now trying to backtrack on some of the crazy stuff she said about Charlie Kirk. And I do have a question. And the question for her is why? Not because I think that it's wrong. She should backtrack. She got a lot of stuff very wrong. She said insane things. But if you brand yourself and have success by being the insane person in the room, a la some of the other people who've done that before in the past, and maybe the threat of a lawsuit is finally what makes you wise up, I'm not sure. But it does seem like backtracking now is partially doing it because maybe the audience is going away. I wonder if that's all that it is. I wonder if the audience dips and ebbs and flows and causes the decision-making. Because I don't think it really is a thing where Candace has decided she no longer should approach these topics the same way. And I have audio that I'll use a little later on to prove it. She really is changing her position on some of the most radical and insane stuff she said, which feels as though it is also probably a reflection of the truth of what's going on in the case of a person who killed Charlie Kirk. I don't like to say the names, even if you've heard it a bunch of times already, of people who do that. I like to not say the names of horrible killer pieces of crap. But nonetheless, the person who did this seems like there's a whole lot of proof that's going to demonstrate that they did it. And I will say one last thing about Candace Owens before I take a break. Her podcast went from ranked in the low 40s, or maybe even high 40s, to ranked just outside the top 20 in one quarter from the second to the third quarter of this year. I haven't seen the numbers for Q4 because it's not over yet. Obviously, what she did worked. So a whole lot of people paid attention to it. And a lot more people will probably do things similar to spike their own ratings. And that's not good for us. That's the negative aspect to the independent journalist society we're in now, is some of these independent journalists, just like mainstream media. It's not like mainstream media doesn't already do this, but these independent journalists may also choose ratings over truth and give us crap information if they see the same thing will work that mainstream media has seen. So that is, I guess, the warning that I'll throw out there, is that even as you want to rely more on the independent journalist, you do have to understand the way they become popular is not necessarily a way that gives you more truth, which is not good. It's obviously a very bad thing, and there's less levels to jump through for them to sell out the way that mainstream media does. It's really just them. Sometimes it's just a person in front of a microphone and a computer being like, all right, I could sell out. And I'll say it this way, myself personally, I've had that thought in my brain, like, man, how viral could I go if I say some crazy stuff? And I never do it because I'd, not be able to sleep. And I'd feel terrible even if I did become more famous doing crazy things online. That came out weird. Saying crazy conspiratorial things online because, again, if you're going for it for fame, for clicks, for likes, for money, then you're not actually helping society at all. And you should know that. And we've seen this 1,000 times in regular cable television, mainstream television, everything in regular media has already done this, terrible change to follow money and not give us information. And it could happen everywhere else. All right, quick break, a lot more. Craig Collins filling in on the Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, again, we're talking about peace with Ukraine. Well, peace for Ukraine. I'll explain after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters, from frozen pipes and sewer backups to your teenager pleading ignorance on the proper use of a plunger. At Michaelis, they know that water damage waits for no one. Their fleet of trucks is, fleet. Over 3 decades of finding the source of the problem, then cleaning up, drying out, and restoring your home or business to better than new condition. That's Michaelis, fully licensed and insured, and fully empathetic to your anxiety, including dealing with insurance claims. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
The Black Friday weekend sale begins this Friday at Boot Barn. Visit us in-store for savings on top quality pieces. Get $40 off select cowboy boots for men and women and $50 off select exotic boots. We also have buy one, get one free offers on select jeans and flannels with additional savings on cowboy hats and outerwear. We're closed Thanksgiving Day to be with family. We look forward to seeing you in store during Black Friday. Boot Barn. Unwrap the West.
Step into the spotlight with Dancing with the Stars. Catch the live show at Old National Center Wednesday, February 25th. Reserve your seats and tickets today at WIBC.com.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Kylan is on special assignment. Producer Kylan here with me, too. We're part of the holiday team that you get at WIBC. A couple different places. Kylan has worked with me when I fill in for Tony Katz. And now today and tomorrow, right, Kylan? You're back tomorrow producing the show?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. And I'll be back, too. All right. I found a story that I think maybe I need your opinion on, just because I think it's interesting. A young woman went viral for walking out on a first date. And here's why she did it. She said that it was a dating app guy that she hadn't met yet. And they were going back and forth about, going on this first date, meeting each other. And he told her that he was going to take her out to dinner, but it wasn't a big fancy thing. Don't worry, dress casual. It'll be fine. She said she rolls up to the restaurant, and it's a very fancy place. And I have questions about why she didn't Google it herself to see what it was, but she felt terribly underdressed for it. And then she accused the guy of doing this on purpose. She thought that it was a power move for him to dress fancy and bring her to a fancy place and have her dressed down. So now it makes him look like the better looking person in the group, or so. I don't know what it was she said exactly. But anyway, the internet was very much on her side. They thought that it was a terrible move and an awful move and a horrible decision by the dude. I have an excuse, but I don't know if it's true. I don't know if this guy did do this for reasons other than the one I thought of. But before I give you what I think my excuse is for why this could happen in an innocent way. I want your reaction to the woman walking out before the date even starts, getting 1 million views on social media and saying, how dare somebody tell me to dress down and then invite me to a fancy place.
Boy, man, you hit a sweet spot. Like that's
okay.
That is really tough to set her up like that. And I don't know if it was intentional to be a setup, but I already am the same way where I have to plan out in advance. Is this going to be too much? Is this going to be too little? What's the vibe? What's this? Because if it's not, then I'm not going. Absolutely. Sometimes I do turn down fancy restaurants because I don't want to dress up and have to feel that way. Yeah. And so I don't blame her, honestly. I'd be like, we can go to McDonald's now.
Yeah.
You're going to have
McDonald's
to
would be much
date.
better. Well, okay. So that's one thing. They absolutely could have just changed the venue if they both get there and she doesn't want to go in. And here's the excuse. Here's the innocent way that I think a guy could go about this, especially a guy who's never met somebody before. I feel like it's weird when you're asked the question, how fancy do I dress? Because it almost feels like for the guy, I want you to dress up all of a sudden. Like, it's not that I want to take you to a fancy restaurant and impress you. It's that I'm trying to get you to go over and above for this first date. So part of me would want to tell somebody, oh, don't worry about it. Dress however you want. Dress casually. And then if you tell them the venue you're going to, the internet exists. The person can look up, like, what is this place like? What's the attire like? Because you could assume that the guy that you're going on the date with has innocently told you to dress however you want. And he's willing to go into the restaurant with you in sweatpants, which I think is what she showed up wearing, which, by the way, is also sort of hilarious for a first date. But nonetheless, like, they're willing to go in and have the meal with you and not be embarrassed by it if that's how you want to dress. I feel like that's a better move for a guy than telling someone you got to dress fancy. But it does create this situation where someone is now embarrassed and doesn't want to go into a place. And that's bad, of course, and it ruined the date entirely. But I think that I don't want to be the one to add the pressure to, like, you got to dress fancy. Even when my wife and I go to, like, weddings and stuff, and she always dresses super fancy, I tell her, like, dress however. Like, it's not a big deal. And she always looks at me like I'm a dumb idiot. And then she dresses very nicely and looks amazing, But I think there's a component there where the guy doesn't want to add the pressure, not because they want to look much nicer than the woman. And who knows? Maybe it is a much worse reason for this dude. Maybe he's just a complete jerk. But I think that there potentially is I want you to decide for yourself if you want to go above and beyond.
I think absolutely. I think it is a smart move to be able to leave it in her court with however she wants to dress for the first date. Absolutely. But that is a huge communication thing. It's nice. It's a nice restaurant, but don't feel obligated to dress up. You can dress however you'd like. And if you want to dress in sweats, then I'll dress in sweats with you. But this is where we're going. I think
that's a better way.
Absolutely.
That's a better way to do that for sure. What's funny about this is I remember the first date I took my wife on. The real first date. We technically went on a first date where we were going to go to a movie and a couple other friends were going to tag along, and then they both canceled. So just my wife and I went to a movie together. That was sort of our first date, even though it was, supposed to be friends. And then by the end of the date, we were making out. That was weird to put out there, but it's true. The next date that I took her on was a very fancy restaurant, but it was very close to Valentine's Day, and I wanted to impress her. So, like, I invited her. She knew where we were going. She dressed nice. Like, none of that was the problem. The thing that I thought was funny is she immediately assumed I was much wealthier than I was. Because she's like, wow, this is date 2. We must be doing this all the time and sort of thing. I didn't intend for that. Eventually, when I started inviting her to the McDonald's dates, I had to tell her, like, we're not going to go fancy all the time. It's just a unique time of year. And it was a unique date. So I get that part, too, that maybe you want to go above and beyond in how you show off on that first date, even if it's not necessarily the way you live life normally.
Mm-hmm. I definitely had that thought when you said, oh, don't worry about dressing up. We're just going to go to a casual place. And then I was curious if he was just in a different
financial bracket
group. Yeah. And he just felt that was a casual place in comparison to all the others.
Maybe.
Because that says something about how your relationship dynamic will be too, if that's how you feel.
You're right. That is, if he thought that was, casual and there's much fancier out there, then you're right. Then maybe it is another big part too. But anyway, I just love that it went viral and the internet overwhelmingly sided with the woman because I think that the guy is getting a bad rap, even if he's a bad guy. He's giving a bad rap to every other guy out there is what I should say. Because again, it feels awkward to be the dude that's like, no, you got to dress fancy. I want to see the dress. I want to see everything, especially on the first date. It feels like you're putting the bar too high for meeting someone. I feel like a first date should really be like a coffee thing, and you should convince someone to show up trying as, not hard as possible, because that gives you a better sense of who they are and not who they try to be when they're at their fanciest.
Who knew I was going to be getting relationship advice from Craig Collins? I like it, though. That's a great first date advice.
Is it? Tell me the truth. It can be bad. Say it's bad. I'm okay with that.
I love the thought of getting coffee for a first date. That's okay,
Right.
but
well,
also,
and not just that, but like doing it without a lot of like makeup and stuff on. Like
No
show
pressure.
up dressed down. Yeah.
I've also been to like baseball games, and I didn't
Nice.
realize that was a date. So you make that aware of, like, set the expectation if it's going to be an actual date or not. Not just.
I
hey,
love
let's
that
grab
you said that.
coffee.
I love that you said that too, because that first date, the like accidental first date with my wife that I went on, I thought it was a date at the moment that it was just me and her, and there was definitely like, interest that seemed to be between us. She didn't realize it till the end of the evening when I made a move. I thought it was a date because it was just two of us the whole time. I don't know. So yes, I
think
get
it
that
boils down
too.
to communication.
Yeah, it does.
Communication.
It does. That or just at some point try to kiss somebody and see if they kiss back, and then you're fine. Although that's probably not good advice for today's society. Quick break, a lot more. Craig Collins filling in on the Kendall and Casey Show. Kylan hanging out as well.
Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who will give it to you straight. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. This holiday season through January 4th, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beat when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
In 2 minutes from the Technology Recyclers studios, how quick the weather switched up to begin this week. Who police in Anderson and Indianapolis arrested on Sunday in 2 fatal shootings. And game week is here for IU football, how they're getting ready for Alabama on New Year's Day. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
From trying to stop the war in Ukraine to trying to keep the peace in Gaza. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's on President Trump's agenda. In about 3 hours, he'll host Israel's prime minister at the Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, where he held talks yesterday with Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky.
It's unresolved, but it's getting a lot closer.
The president says they made progress, but there are thorny issues to work out, including who gets what territory Ukraine and Russia keep fighting over. There was also a Trump phone call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, who Reuters reports told generals today the war must continue as he tries to take over the city of Zaporizhia. As for today's talks...
Months after a ceasefire and hostage release took hold between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, the second phase of that plan remains in doubt. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have struck differing positions over the makeup of an international stability force in Gaza. Netanyahu has also announced plans for Israel to develop a domestic weapons manufacturing industry, he says, to reduce dependence on all players, including friends.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. He confessed. That's what Justice Department documents made public are showing in the case against Brian Cole Jr., the man accused of planting pipe bombs outside Democratic and Republican national headquarters in Washington. They were found January 5th, 2021.
The night before the now infamous riot at the U.S. Capitol. According to those records, Cole tells federal agents that he was relieved the bombs didn't explode and that no one was hurt, but also that he detests both political parties, insisting no one knows his personal politics, but that he felt a need to speak up for people who believe the 2020 election was stolen.
Fox's Evan Brown. There's a lot of snow to shovel. Iowa to Michigan. More forecast all the way to Maine. Fox Weather's Katie Byrne in upstate New York.
Another foot of snow or more to places like Buffalo, Niagara Falls. Officials are actually urging people to get off the roads. That's because of near whiteout conditions.
And there are more than 500 flights canceled, 2,200 delayed today. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A significant drop. It's cloudy and 18 in Indianapolis. Windy with snow falling this hour, too. Today's high at 33. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 10:02. From cloudy and 60 degrees to severe storms and colder temps. National Weather Service forecaster Mike Ryan recaps a wild weather weekend in Indiana.
Now, it's unusual to see that form of stronger thunderstorms, potential for severe weather in the middle of winter, but it does happen. And the setup was such, we had been mild for the last week, and then you have these temperatures that are 30 degrees above normal for highs.
This morning feels like temps in the negative. The rest of this week will be cold with temperatures around the 20s and 30s. An Anderson woman is in jail after police say she shot and killed her daughter Sunday morning. Here's Jake McDaniel.
Officers went to a home around 5 o'clock and found Tiana Harris, who was the one shot. She was rushed to the hospital but didn't survive. Investigators say the shooter was Harris's own mom, who was taken to jail. Police say other people in the home told them they didn't know about any trouble before the shooting. Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A woman is shot dead in a residential area on Indy's southeast side Sunday. IMPD says they did take a man into custody after gathering more information from witnesses as they continue their investigation. The national credit card debt topping $1.3 billion this month. Local experts say Indiana families are feeling the pressure. Colton Cooley with First Merchants Bank told Wish TV that many people fail to save year-round.
Short-term holiday spending often creates long-term debt, we say. And if a family only makes minimum payments, those interest charges can really stretch the repayment for months or even years.
Cooley advises those to seek financial help if needed before you dig yourself a deeper hole. Plenty of college hoops tonight. Number 5 Purdue is hosting Kent State at Mackey Arena. Indiana State has Belmont, and Ball State is taking on Earlham. And it's finally game week for the Indiana Hoosiers, who will face Alabama in the Rose Bowl game New Year's Day. Linebacker Aiden Fisher on what he's looking at with the Crimson Tide offense.
Really good O-line, big, physical, a lot of playmakers on the edge, and really good running backs as well. So definitely have our work cut out for us.
Vegas has the Hoosiers as 7-point favorites heading into Thursday's matchup. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Kendall and Casey back in 1 minute.
While you may not have to travel around the entire world on Christmas Eve, it's nice to know Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. So head out on your holiday journey in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Over 2,000 to choose from. Chevys, Fords, Toyotas, GMCs, Buicks, Nissans, Acuras, Mazdas, Hondas, and more. Buy with zero down. Yes, zero down delivers. Plus, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. Bring Hubler your old car for an immediate appraisal. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. No matter where your journeys take you, Hubler's got you covered with the best warranty around. Happy holidays, Indiana. Visit drivehubler.com or any of our 13 convenient locations. Select models, approved credit. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. A bunch of stuff to talk about. During that last break, I found audio of Stephen A. Smith talking about President Trump with a lot of bad words in there. Not Stephen A. being critical of Trump, by the way, but Stephen A. Saying how Democrats screwed up by vilifying Trump as much as they did leading up to the election and trying to throw him in jail. That was another thing. I've cleaned up this audio as best I could in just a few minutes. There are no bad words in it. I don't think there's any bleep sound, so I think you're not even going to be able to tell that some bad words are in here. But let's go ahead and hit play on this, and let's risk it for the biscuit, is the way that a friend of mine in radio says all the time, because I think the audio is actually pretty good. And I've warned Kylan enough times indirectly that a bad word might have been meant. No, I'm kidding. I think all the bad words are out. Here we go.
I told him with Trump, let it go. What you trying to put him in jail for? They did everything they could to prevent him from being the president. Trump ain't going after these people, man, because of the election. He going after these people because they tried to get him to spend the rest of his life in prison. He approaching 80 years old and you tried to throw him behind bars. He coming.
Yeah, I jumped some words in there, so we're good. No bad words came out. And he kept going, Stephen A., about how, he's coming after these bleeping people because of the thing they tried to do to him. But yeah, that is essentially the argument I've made before on why, if anyone thinks that there's political prosecution, which I don't actually think is happening as much as mainstream media does, of course, in this current term, this current administration. But if anybody thinks any of that's occurring at all, or even just some of the falling out of relationships, some of that might be tied to the fact that they almost got Trump to go to jail, or at least they tried very hard to make that happen. And I think I would also add they tried to kill him into that discussion. And so if you're someone in a position of power, I thought about it this way. This is a weird way to talk about it. Some places that I've worked in my life in radio and media, not here at WIBC, where I'm just a part-timer, but it's awesome to work for this organization. But some other places I've worked, they haven't had the same acceptance of the mission statement at all levels. What I mean by that is if you have a conservative-leaning station, but you have people within the company who do not lean conservative, those people might not want the station that you have to succeed that disagrees with them. And they could be sales directors, they could be news directors, they could be all kinds of people. There are people who are at odds with the mission of the organization they work for. And that's bad. That doesn't turn out good. And especially in the world of media, it significantly makes things worse. And so I've been at places where as things progressed, and even as success is being found and like ratings are turning out good and whatnot, there's people actively cheering against you and sort of trying to harm you along the way. And the reason I'm saying this is not to complain about my career. That would be fun and cathartic, but that's not the point of this. The point is I always fantasized what it would be like to become in charge of those places, the places where there were roadblocks that shouldn't exist. And I think anybody who, say, has somebody at work at whatever the job is you do, who you feel like is standing in your way and trying to prevent you from whatever the success is, whether it's jumping over them in the chain, which, of course, I guess people might do that if they think that you're going to, rise above wherever they're at. A lot of resentment can take place in those situations, whatever it might be. I don't care what the reason is. But anyway, I think a lot of people fantasize about just firing everybody. You get in that position of power as soon as you, are in a role where you can actually impact the people who've been impacting you. You want to do as much negative as you can. And then think of it times a million if you're the president of the United States and you get into a position of power where every system they had, at their disposal, they tried to use against you. What would you do is the question to that. How would you behave? And I'll go even a step further. And I don't know if this is controversial per se to say, but darn it, we're here. I'm going to do it anyway. When the Rob Reiner posts came out for President Trump, after Rob Reiner was horrifically killed by likely his son, I only say likely because that court case isn't over yet, but likely killed his own son in a horrible way. And then Trump's post comes out, and it does at the beginning. I'm going to put this out there too. At the beginning and the end of the post, it does say it's tragic or horrible. But then the whole middle is a person who's very, very much not happy with the individual that Rob Reiner was when he was alive, very much showing his dislike of that person. Most of media, even a lot of conservative outlets, attacked Trump for this. They said that it looked bad. And I'll be honest, it's not the kind of thing I would do. I would not, I think, attack someone who was just killed. However, if you're trying to humanize people and not think of all of the individuals in society as different than us, like they're all just people too, even President Trump, then the amount of anger that Trump specifically had for Reiner could start to make a little more sense. Now, granted, I think even Joe Rogan, who is the one who put up the Stephen A. Smith audio, but that's why I mentioned Rogan. Even Joe Rogan has said recently that it's just a bad look. It's just not what an empathetic society should look like to attack somebody after they've been murdered. And I get it. I understand the position. But if we're just being people, like the amount of people who wake up every day and just hate Trump to a degree that's sort of amazing. And they hate him regardless of what he does, regardless of what he says. If they think that there's something he said or done that means that their hate is justified, it's long over, and they definitely don't care anymore about what he says or does. And some of these people are important. Some of these people have, platforms of their own or followings or, money to donate to campaigns. All of those things are things that you deal with as the person in a position of power. And I'm not trying to make Trump the victim here. That's not the intention of this, although I'm sure that in his own mind, he might see that at times being a thing that's true. But what I think is really interesting about that is that, again, you're just a person. You're just a people, which is the way that I'd say it to my wife. She likes to say it that way. So you're just somebody out there in society that's living a certain way. And here, I guess, is the spin of this. And this might not matter. It's the holidays. This is an older story. I couldn't help feeling it connected to this segment that I'm talking about now. And I know I've mentioned Charlie Kirk a lot on this show, more so than I think I've mentioned even filling in for Tony Katz over the last few days. But I will say that the vitriolic response to the murder of Charlie Kirk by everyday people, just a ton of people who might have felt as though they had every right to be mad at Charlie, showed me more about society than the way that one person, no matter how important that person in society is, even if it's the president, reacts to the death of someone else. Because it was not all of conservative media or a bunch of conservative seeming people that are online, loud people that were celebrating the death of Rob Reiner. I'm certainly not celebrating the death of that person whatsoever or saying that it's deserved or any of that crap. And so that to me was the bigger takeaway, is that when you look at the totality of the response to something and you see one version of it and a different version of it, and I think that's the biggest mistake people make in politics right now. And I mean this about the left more than anybody else. And I have a bunch of people that are still friends of mine that I see their crazy posts about Trump all the time. I think the left looks for a way to blame voters for the behavior of President Trump. Whatever Trump does, the people that are angry at him, they want to also be angry at MAGA or whatever they call it, whatever the thing is out there that they think is bad. And so the behavior of one becomes the assumed behavior of all. And granted, a whole lot of people might agree with the stuff he does or the way he acts or not care about it, whatever. And that's totally fine. I get that. I understand that. But by and large, when I'm talking to someone who tells me how awful this behavior is, it's Trump's behavior, and they want to put it on the feet of other people. When you do it the opposite way, it's usually the behavior of mass media or, social media and the way that they censored certain things. It's usually a whole lot of not famous voices that are collectively saying a thing. It's the hive mind that comes out, the mind virus, as I think Elon Musk has called it. That's interesting to me because one of them is a reflection of a totality of people, or at least a subset of a larger group, and one's just one person. So why do we so often talk about the behavior of one person as if it's a reflection of all the people who voted for that individual, bad or good? I'm not trying to crap on Trump in this segment. That's not the point. I'm actually not even really trying on purpose to give a lot of my opinions of a lot of this. But truthfully, the reason why I think it's interesting is that so very often I feel as though I'm put in a position with friends of mine on the other side to defend the behavior of one person, as opposed to when I ask a question, it's really the behavior of tons of people who all seem to think that they have the right to behave the way they do. And that seems bad. All right, we'll take a break on that. We'll come back and talk about some more fun stuff. I didn't mean to get a deep dive philosophical on the show, if that's even what we just did there. I just can't help it. It's the holidays. I feel like There's only so much news that you want to hear about and only so much news I want to talk about. So who knows? We'll do more of this, but we'll keep you informed and everything. I will talk about Ukraine and the United States and Russia, because that's a big story that's out there. We'll keep you informed and everything. We'll also have some fun in just a bit. This is Craig Collins filling in on Kendall and Casey, 93 WIBC.
Narco-terrorists dead in the water.
93 WIBC.
We have a massive armada form, the biggest we've ever had.
What happens next
The death toll now topping 100.
happens here.
Russia is pledging full support for Maduro's government.
Ukraine says it was attacked overnight.
Stay in the know
The DOJ is still withholding Epstein files,
while you're on the go.
threatening to hold Attorney General Pam Bondi in contempt of Congress.
A wheelchair-bound Army veteran detained by ICE.
$1.7 billion, the fourth largest lottery prize ever.
On air, online, and on Alexa.
The holidays are here. Is endless hot water at the top of your Christmas wish list? Luckily, my friends at Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling are offering an amazing special during the holiday season. $1,000 off a tankless water heater. Give the gift of endless hot water and save $1,000 by calling Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today. Stay warm this holiday season with endless hot water from Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Give them a call at 641-HOPE. That's 641-HOPE.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed or your money back. Only $59.99. Destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, or weight gain, or your money back. Hypnosis January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss of 5:30 p.m., stop smoking at 8. And January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss 11 a.m., stop smoking at 2. Register at markpatrickseminars.com. WIBC cares, and if you or someone you care about needs food assistance, we have resources for you, including food distribution locations with an interactive map. Also, learn how you can make a difference for friends and neighbors in need, all at WIBC.com.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Thrilled to be with you. A bunch of stuff out there to talk about. I did see something that I thought was kind of interesting, and I wonder how much of this is actually just because of the way that social media works today. But there are studies that found that Gen Z specifically is not big on alcohol. They're drinking less and less alcohol in general. They're partying differently than, say, generations before them partied. My generation, I am a millennial, definitely partied the same way as generations before us. And Gen Z, for the most part, seems to be less interested in booze than the ones before it. But here's the caveat, at least according to socialprofiler.com. They are turning toward looking at more salacious content online, even at work. The not safe for work content is what they call it. Whether this is just stuff that's on social media where someone posts something provocative and then somebody else interacts with it. And I think this is funny, too, and this is a side study that's sort of tangentially connected to this one. There's a lot of people that say that many women interact with inappropriate photos of other women online. And I have a theory as to why that is, by the way, that it's women who are responding to, like, the bikini picture of their friend and not dudes that are going by and large and responding to that. Because that was part of the study, is it said that men are not engaging as much in this material in a way that they could check and study and understand, meaning publicly, as women seem to be. And they thought that was interesting, that this generation seems less concerned with, quote, not safe for work stuff than they are with going out and drinking. And I think Kylan is Gen Z. I don't know if you want to weigh in on this topic at all before I give you my theory as to why they studied this and saw that more women interact to the thirst trap photo of a friend online than men do. But the overarching message, the lack of alcohol and the not being as, ashamed of interacting with social media content that might be more salacious in nature, even while at work.
I am Gen Z, but I'm curious to hear about your theory on this.
I would like
Okay.
to. Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, fine. All right, I'll do the theory. I think that the guys aren't interacting publicly because they know they're going to get in trouble. I don't think that they're not paying attention. I think that by and large, if you have a social media page that's you showing off how attractive you are to society, a whole lot of dudes are aware of it. Like I think they even say that. A lot of the influencers that are just like young, attractive women joke that their audience is predominantly men, which makes sense, again, because it's just a different version of the same thing we've seen before. But if you're someone studying it and looking for who's liking and commenting on stuff, I think it's much safer if it's female friends than if it's a dude. I think that the dudes are going to shy away from that. I would be curious to study the amount of private messages that come into these accounts and who those people are, if they're guys or women, because I think you'd get a very different sense of the attention and who's responding to it if you could see an extra layer that the study couldn't see. But the study was saying that men, by and large, are not really commenting on this stuff, that it's women who are doing it. And I think that that's the old, like, you go, girl, I support you thing that seems more appropriate in the internet society we have than a bunch of dudes doing it. That's my theory, is that the study didn't actually reflect the amount of people paying attention, just the amount of people publicly willing to demonstrate that they were interested in something.
I love this theory that we just have a whole bunch of girls out there.
Well, that's the only thing that's allowed right now. I mean, I'm kidding. I know everybody listening who thinks this is all dumb is like, you don't have to follow whatever rules people make. That's true. You don't. It's fine. But Matt Baer has joked a lot about when he goes to the gym and how he has to stare at the ceiling, as do I, whenever I go to that place, because you don't want someone mad at you. You don't want someone to think you looked at them and then get mad at you. I think social media is the same thing. Like if you're a dude out there commenting, I'm going to tell you something, and I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I think it's funny. I work at a different place in radio. It's not WIBC. And I went to work, and a coworker who's a little bit older than me and a guy had left their Facebook open on the computer, and I didn't look at it. I wasn't like trying to I was going to log out of it, but the post he left up was him definitely hitting on a woman on like the comment section. Like he said something about how good they looked and whatever. And my first reaction was to be like, oh, man, that's not going to go well for you. Like the first thing I thought was this is going to be a swing and a miss attempt at trying to pick up a woman on the internet because it's in public. It's a comment under the thing. And yeah, I don't think he's actually going to wind up meeting this young woman that he was commenting on. I think that's the society we live in now, is people see those things and think of them as not necessarily, the right way to go about connecting with a human you don't know. I'm being very nice about how I'm discussing this. And so, yeah, I saw that and I was like, dude, this is a guy who obviously is of a different generation and hoping this works, and it's probably not going to work.
No, I would agree with it. No notes.
No notes. I didn't think, okay, all right. Do you think that that's true, though? Also, do you feel like as a friend of somebody, if they're posting something out there for whatever reason, like maybe they don't post this stuff all the time, but maybe your female friend who by and large has a regular social media page has thrown up the bikini photo because they've been hitting the gym or something, as a female friend of this person in a supportive way, do you kind of feel a pressure to comment and be like, way to go, this looks great?
Yeah, you go, girl.
Okay. See, I thought that.
Absolutely.
Guys do not feel that pressure. We feel the exact opposite version of, I really shouldn't comment on this one. I need to go find the artistic photo of her where she's not wearing a bathing suit. And it's really more of a focus on, a painting or something, and tell her how great that looks and hope for the best there instead of the one where she's in a bikini. I think SNL has made fun of this too, by the way. I think I just described an SNL bit. But anyway, I just thought that was so funny, is that, again, people were talking about the difference in society now for men and women. And I would really like to know the behind the scenes. I think that, and probably not in a good way, there's going to be a whole lot of direct messages coming in from people that are not women saying things to some of these young influencers that are out there in the world. But all right, I'll shift gears. There's one other thing out there that I saw that I thought was interesting. And this is actually also salacious in nature. I didn't do this on purpose, Kylan. These are the topics I found. These are the things I found. Apparently, some people are creating what they think is a more attractive Santa. I don't know how I'm going to talk about this. This is on the New York Post. It is a holiday thing where someone would like to, dress like Santa Claus, but do it in a fancier way to where you actually look good. There are guys who have like red suits on that aren't the typical Santa suit. with a tie and stuff. And apparently this is a thing that guys on social media are trying to make Santa a more attractive dude, but also look like Santa. And women are responding well to the attempt to make Santa more modelly and less like a big jolly fat guy. I don't know what you think of this topic, but my complaint is the same all the time with this stuff, is you don't need to go these roads, man. Like Halloween ruins a lot of characters that are not inherently attractive that then Halloween tries to make attractive. Like the person who goes out dressed as SpongeBob SquarePants and wants SpongeBob to be a hot lady. That does not make sense to me. That is not a good move. The same feels true here, that anyone who's trying to create a more attractive version of Santa is missing the point of Santa Claus entirely. He does not need to be an attractive dude. He needs to be a jolly older guy with a big, big belly who I wind up wanting presents from. That's exactly what it is. It doesn't have to be anything else. You want to comment on this one, or do you want to take the fifth?
There absolutely is an audience for it. I'm not there, but I've seen so many things about events for like Magic Mike Santa night type things. Yeah. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad that you're not going to pretend this isn't real, because apparently the New York Post is saying it's real and you've seen it too. So yes, it's odd. I don't know why people want to do this. Maybe it's the challenge of it. Like, I kind of think this is going to be an overly nice way to describe this. Artistic people like to do artistically challenging things. I know that for a fact as someone who I think is at times artistic. And so maybe somebody somewhere is sitting in the corner of a room planning their next show and saying to themselves, it would be really tough to make Santa somebody who's hot. And then they try to do that. They try to make that show and have an audience that goes to it and responds well to it because it's artistically more challenging than making someone that's, not traditionally thought of as attractive hot. This is the same thing I think I see on Halloween when I see young women dressed as stuff that shouldn't be hot, like hot SpongeBob and hot Patrick, and yet they tried to turn it into something that's attractive. It just confuses me. The male brain is simplistic. It just makes it odd and confusing to see that stuff out there and wonder why I now have to have, a competing thought in my brain about something that I thought was very easy out there. Anything else you want to say about this or no?
I think you put it pretty plainly, simplistic.
All right, thank
indeed.
you. Thank you, Kylan. You're like, yeah, let's move on. Let's change a topic. We'll take a break. We'll do more things in just a bit. I love running out of time on adult topic segments because then we can't even blame me. We just have to blame the fact that we're stopping now on the commercial. But we'll be back in a bit. This is Craig Collins filling in on Kendall and Casey, 93 WIBC.
It's time. You've been putting off that kitchen or bath remodel long enough. What are you waiting for? Get started today with Boer Remodeling. Boer Remodeling customer Kathy had a bath remodel with Boer. Kathy, talk a little bit about your experience.
Our experience with Boer has been terrific. The process was so easy and seamless. When we decided to do a larger remodel of our first floor, Boer was the first company we thought of hiring.
And were you happy with the results?
The results are amazing, and we are so happy with our home and the work that Boer did.
Peter is another recent Boer Remodeling customer with a new kitchen. Peter, what was the best part about working with Boer?
We especially liked the active participation that we were able to have in selection of stone for the countertops. Really came out beautiful. The cabinets also came out very, very well.
The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. They'll guide you through the entire process. Start with a free consultation. Talk to Boer Remodeling today. That's BOOHER, BoerRemodeling.com.
It's cold out there, and if you spent all last winter thinking that it was time to replace your windows, but you didn't want to spend the money or have your windows done in the middle of winter, it's good you waited, because right now during Window Nation's end of year sale, get 50% off, plus you could get 0% interest for 5 years. Not only could you get affordable custom windows, but shorter wait times mean you'll get them fast. And Window Nation will install them in one day while keeping your house warm and dry.
And once they're installed, your new windows instantly stop those bitter, freezing drafts that come into your house. They're backed with a lifetime warranty, and you're going to save money on your monthly utility bills. It's no wonder Window Nation has over 45,000 5-star reviews. Don't wait to put an end to your window problems. Ask about the big Window Nation end of the year sale. Your chance to save 50% off all style of windows plus 0% financing for 5 years. Visit windownation.com.
A house or business fire is something you never want to think of. But should it happen, think fast. Think Michaelis. Over 35 years of rebuilding lives and spirits at the same time. No one comes more respected or as fast. Trust the ones the insurance companies trust. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beat when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
Come in to Exercise Inc. for a free consultation in the month of December and get 2 free sessions. Exercise Inc. 5 locations. Visit exerciseinc.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He's appearing again, but not in person. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending now at 10:32. The suspect in the fatal shooting of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk expected to appear in court today as the judge considers media access in the trial. Tyler Robinson will not be physically present in the courtroom. The hearing will be virtual, with the judge also deciding how much audio can be released from a closed-door hearing from back in October. Robinson is set for another hearing in mid-January. President Trump says he believes affordability will be at the heart of the midterm elections. Fox's Madeline Rivera.
After facing some challenging polls regarding his handling of the economy, President Trump is ending the year feeling a boost with some positive economic data. A 2.7% inflation rate and GDP growing 4.3% in the third quarter of the year. Some wind in their sails that they can gain the upper hand on affordability in the midterms. President Trump telling Politico, "I think it's going to be about the success of our country. It'll be about pricing because they gave us high pricing and we're bringing it down. Energy is way down. Gasoline is way down."
A recent Fox poll found 72% of voters view the economy negatively, with 58% saying the president is focused on the wrong issues. Hundreds of thousands of people are without power today through the Midwest, all the way to the East Coast. Blizzard warnings also out after plenty of states are seeing wind gusts stronger than 50 miles per hour and sub-zero temperatures. And PETA is not happy with a celebrity's Christmas gift to her family. The animal rights group is angry that Kim Kardashian gifted each of her 4 kids their own puppy. One of their leaders putting out a statement over the weekend. I'm Jarrett Lewis, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Just a quick sweep of some of the bigger things out there in the news. President Trump sat down with Vladimir Zelensky, and it seems like things went very well. It seems as though their sit down in Florida, by and large, has the United States and Ukraine in the same place with the same objective in ending a 4-year war between Russia and Ukraine that Russia started. Russia invaded them, all those things. And you've definitely heard on this station, and I continue to praise Tony Katz. I'm not trying to kiss up. I know that's not his show, the one I'm doing right now, but he's done a really great job of talking about this issue. And I think helping people understand that Ukraine was going to wind up giving things up in some sort of peace deal because no one else was going to put boots on the ground and fight. Not that I think it's a good idea, and I don't mean to speak for Tony, but I think I get the sense that he didn't think it was a good idea either. But if you actually wanted to defeat Russia in a way that would have benefited Ukraine, you would have had to help them with military bodies, not just military equipment. And so I do think it's really interesting that even though people are upset that that's the likely scenario here, that it's going to happen, there is also the U.S.'s offer for a 15-year security guarantee as part of a peace plan. It does have an expiration date, but it would be an amount of time in which once everything is parsed out, once all the different pieces are agreed to, if Russia does something to be provocative, the United States would have an instantly, obvious in writing, black and white way in which they would respond with more strength, respond beyond the way of sending just weapons and things to Ukraine. So that feels as though it's the path that Ukraine most wants. If they give in, they want to make sure that there is a protection for whatever is left, which would be a significant part of the country, of course. The only things that are really being discussed to give away are things that were long contested areas like the Donbass region. Anyone that doesn't know much about that area, and you probably know a lot more over the last few years than you might have known before it, there were areas that were essentially having a proxy war where Russia would be supporting a force that wasn't necessarily its military, but behaved like it against Ukraine in these long contested areas. Now it seems that some of those areas, most of those areas would probably be surrendered to Russia. And then the rest of Ukraine would stay the way it is. But anyway, that's a big story that's out there news. Winter storms are a big story throughout the country on the East Coast. And of course, in Indianapolis, where things are getting colder and crazier very quickly. It's just, I'll say this, it's mean. I don't know how to say that differently. I remember all the time making jokes about that. My wife making jokes about that like Mother Nature is mean or whoever you want to call it. Because to have like a really nice Christmas and then have immediately terrible weather after Christmas, it's the inverse of what you want. You want the winter day to happen on Christmas Day. And then when you get tempted by oh my God, it's so lovely outside. It's so fancy and nice, or at least it's not miserable. If it's not quite as warm in some places as others, at least it's not, freezing and terrible. And then all of a sudden you go right back to getting kicked in the teeth. That is the hardest thing about living in the Midwest is the fluctuation of weather. That one day it'll be 60, the next day it'll be -10. And you just have to live with that. I do think that that's a thing that's out there. And I think that stinks. And it's been that way for a very long time. This is not a version of me talking about any changes in climate in our society. That's not the point. And I love when people do that, by the way. I think I've talked about this before. I don't know if it's here, but I have mentioned before how entertained I am when people tell me that like shockingly good weather is an indication that climate change is a horrible problem in our society, because I like to do the opposite. I want to be the person that's fear-mongering about, the cold snap that's sending us back into the dark ages of all the things that happened when everything was frozen in the world. Because that never happens, man. Whenever we have a uniquely cold day in the middle of the summer or some other time, these same people that are out there screaming about how bad things are don't do the opposite. And I think they should just at least do that because it entertained me more. It'd make it more fun for me. And I'm a millennial. I'm someone who grew up being taught about climate change in school. I'm not necessarily trying to tell you that none of it exists, but I think the version of it that people talk about is overly dramatized and crazy, and it winds up being not true all the time. The projections are always wrong. And even more than that, the solution to any of this is not to give the government a bunch of money. Because if we're learning anything in Minnesota or elsewhere, it's if you want to fix a problem, the last thing you should do is give a whole bunch more money to the government because they'll make it worse, not better, and they'll lose a lot of the money and steal a lot of the money along the way. But anyway, let's move on to other things out there. I thought this was interesting. The economy doing pretty well, according to many people. The CEO of Bank of America popped up on Face the Nation to say that there's 3 different things that he pays attention to, and all of those seem to be trending in the right direction. Whether or not you feel it right now is probably unlikely to be true. And I think mostly because of the time of year. To be honest, there were times during the Biden administration where they said that the inflation of certain things was transitory. They were wrong about all that. The high prices that we were paying on stuff never went the other way, never went back. It was horrible and terrible, and a tremendous failure of the Biden administration to have things get so expensive so quickly, and probably a byproduct of a war on oil and gas and energy that makes things as expensive as they are. But what's interesting to me is that right now is the time of year where people spend way more money than they have, regardless of how well the economy is doing. Most people choose to overspend on the holidays for their loved ones, for their friends, for whoever they think that they need to get stuff for. So it's a very difficult time to say, hey, things are going better than I thought, because you're more likely to be cash strapped now than at any other time during the year. But here, I'll play the audio of the CEO of Bank of America saying to him, things are going well. And the economy itself was doing better than people expected. I think a full point in Q3 more than expected for the amount of growth and the amount of spending that we're seeing. And again, that might be partially a byproduct of what I'm saying about the time of year it is. But hey, good news is good news. But here we go.
Is that still, though, stilted towards the upper income brackets? Is it that K-shaped economy some people talk about?
Our team looks at this. Yes, the growth rate difference is higher, but all the third, all 3/3 are growing. And
you
so,
think that'll continue?
Yeah, and that's been continuous. And so that's the question. They grow at different rates, but they're all growing, which all means they're putting more money in the economy than they did this time last year.
All right, that's good. He's saying again that the people at the top are making more money, that their income, their financial success is going a certain direction. And K-shaped is an interesting term for it, when really the Bank of America is saying more E-shaped. He's saying more every single layer is doing well, not the middle layer is doing poorly, which is usually what the people on Face the Nation want to tell you. Whether you believe that or not, whether you experience that or not, it seems to be the underlying truth. Also, I thought this was interesting. This is Scott Jennings talking about the success that's existed within the economy, and then also talking about the success that's existed within immigration. And I know there are people that think that Trump is going way too far, doing way too much as far as the amount of people that are here illegally that are not going to be allowed to stay. But this was a campaign promise that he made. He said that he would fix this, and it got tremendously worse under Biden. It got so bad, and this is always sort of the barometer for me that I think is interesting, that the south side of Chicago, overwhelmingly liberal, overwhelmingly minorities, mostly black people who live in the south side of Chicago, they were complaining that they thought the immigration system was broken and too much money was going to communities that weren't theirs and how unfair it was. And that's a group of people that overwhelmingly vote, Democratic politicians into positions of power, whether it's mayors in Chicago, presidents, what have you. They were likely to be turning on the people that they typically vote for because they're upset that things are going the direction they're going. So how do you fix something that gets that broken disproportionately? How do you seesaw it back the other way? You do what Trump is doing. You might have to significantly change the amount of people who are currently here and do it in a way where even a lot of mainstream media outlets and others complain that like you're ripping mothers from their families, even though by and large that's not actually true. But I think that this is the way you respond to someone doing what Biden did while he was in office. But here's Jennings talking about it and how it is also simply a campaign promise that's been fulfilled.
Well, look, I think on the immigration piece, it's been his biggest success this year. It's the biggest promise fulfilled. We've had 2.5 million people deported. A significant number of them were self-deported. They used the government's app or just decided to leave the country altogether. And
by the way, he says a significant number, 1.9 million of the 2.5 million people left on their own. They left with cash in their hands. I think they get 3,000 right now. They were getting 1,000 before it. So a vast majority of the people, 80% of the individuals who've left this country during this term in office so far for the president have done so of their own choosing. That feels important to mention, too, to the people who are saying, that ICE is this horrible organization that's ruining lives and families throughout the country. That feels disconnected from the simple stat. Here we go.
So when I talk to Republicans and Trump supporters around the country, they're more than thrilled with the aggressive nature of it. We haven't passed any new immigration laws since Donald Trump became the president again. We're just enforcing the laws that we have, something the previous administration would not do. So I know the left has treated this as some big controversy, but I don't know what's controversial about the president just simply enforcing the laws that are on the books.
Yeah, I don't know what's controversial about that either, Scott. And even more important than that, and this is what I think is really interesting, is Trump is not alone as far as a president who has deported people. Outside of Biden, you've seen deportations, and quite a few of them in other administrations. Even the Obama administration had deported a lot of people. And how dare they do that was not, for some reason, the reaction of mainstream media. It's just this time around because you don't want any success to be success. You want everything to be a failure one way or another, whatever it might be. That, to me, is essentially the way that mainstream media wakes up in the morning and decides they're going to cover Trump, is that it has to be bad. It has to be terrible. We have to find out how. And mostly it has to be just identity terrible. It has to be identity politics. He's a bad person. He's racist. He's sexist. He's something, as opposed to, he's simply now enforcing a law that did exist before and the previous administration didn't want to enforce for a bunch of political reasons. All right, we'll take a break. A lot coming up. Craig Collins filling in on Kendall and Casey, 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, again, we're talking about peace with Ukraine. Well, peace for Ukraine. I'll explain after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Wheat Grow Hair Indy. You know, champions just don't show up. They pick the right team to get the best results. And when it comes to restoring your hair, We Grow Hair Indy is that team. You know, 5 years ago, I made the choice to head over to We Grow Hair Indy. And every time I look in the mirror, I'm so glad I did. You know, guys at the top of their game, radio personalities, coaches, and well-known athletes have all trusted We Grow Hair Indy to restore their hair. Why? Because their results are permanent, natural, and speak for themselves. Here's what you do. You call today, 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Schedule a totally free, no-hassle, no-obligation consultation. Darren and the gang, the fine folks at We Grow Hair Indy, will take a look at what's going on top of your head and make some suggestions on how you can get your hair and your confidence back. Then it's up to you. In the meantime, see some other folks who have made the choice to get their confidence back by heading over to WeGrowHairIndy.com. 317-522-2995, 317-522-2995.
Are you a business owner or self-employed? Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more? Pay close attention. Do not ignore this message. The IRS has unmatched power. They can freeze your bank account, garnish your paycheck, seize your assets, and even shut down your business. If you've received a notice or think one is coming, the clock is already ticking. Every day you wait, penalties grow, and the problem gets worse. Call Federated Tax today. We'll connect you with an experienced tax professional who will negotiate directly with the IRS on your behalf. You may qualify for IRS hardship programs like the Fresh Start Initiative or many other programs that can stop garnishments, stop bank account seizures, reduce or even eliminate penalties, and lower your settlement amount. The IRS won't wait, and neither should you. Call Federated Tax today, 800-370-1384. The call and consultation are free. That's 800-370-1384. 800-370-1384.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beep when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
Join us every Friday right around 5:50 for Beer Sample Friday.
Brought to you by Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, home of free delivery within 75 miles of their store.
Casey and the Sunshine Band, live at Old National Center, January 23rd at 7:30 p.m. It's the ultimate throwback party. Get your tickets today at WIBC.com.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. Producer Kylan is hanging out as well on special assignment. I do like these stories when they come out, mostly because it just means I feel smart. So that's always good. I think that's always a good thing. But apparently, New York City teachers discovered the young people, teenagers, can't read clocks. The reason that they discovered this is they took away cell phones, and then the kids had no idea what time it was. I imagine this might be a bit of an exaggeration, although it might also be true. But if you have like a clock in the back of the room, on the wall, the way that everybody remembers in school, looking up at that thing and hoping for it to go faster so you get to leave and go home from school. Apparently, the kids now have no idea what's going on because they can't see the digital version on their phone if it's in a bin somewhere in the front of the room, which is very upsetting, apparently, for the kids. But I find this uniquely hilarious and also terrible. If you're in a school system and you notice the children can't read a clock, I feel like you take a whole day. You teach them that. That's a life skill that they need. Go ahead and throw out the math itinerary for the day, and let's just do clocks until we get past that topic, and then we'll go on to other things. I don't think schools do that enough. If you notice a problem that's very basic with a large amount of the people in the school, let's go ahead and switch the curriculum for 24 hours to get through that roadblock. We also need to bring back things like shop class, I think. The kids know how to make stuff. But Kylan, did you want to weigh in on the teenagers don't know how to read clocks story?
I would absolutely believe it. I had problems reading the clock growing up, and I was taught it during school. So, like, them not even learning it is absolutely believable.
Bad. Yeah.
I think it's also fine if you feel like you need to be smarter, if you ever want like a little confidence booster,
sure.
just remember that you went through school without AI doing
I
your
did.
homework, doing your essays,
did, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anything. Yes, I know. I'm aware of this. I went through a school without a whole lot of that existing at all. AI couldn't do anything for me, and not even just AI. There were even other cheats that didn't exist. The best thing I had was Spark Notes. I don't know if you even know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Spark Notes. Yeah, okay, good. I don't know who knows what that is. Spark Notes was when you could not read a book, but you could read the abridged version and the highlights of the book online on a specific website and then feel like you kind of knew what it was. My favorite, as far as the way cheating used to work in college, and I didn't do this, but it did happen, is when someone noticed that you copy and pasted something out of Wikipedia and then put it into your paper, and then you got in trouble for it. I had a buddy that did that multiple times, and every time it failed because it was way too easy to check in on why that was a thing he was doing. And I love the fact that every time it happened, he was still mystified. He's like, I don't know how they figured it out. I only took that one paragraph entirely from Wikipedia, but that was our version of AI. The internet version of the encyclopedia was the closest we got. But now everybody writes, my mom's a teacher. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. She's mostly a guidance counselor, but she actually teaches classes too, some college courses and whatnot. In Indiana, actually, is where she lives. I don't want to say where because she always gets mad at me when I do that. But anyway, she uses AI to grade papers. She's told me this before. And her favorite part of AI helping her grade the paper is it identifies if it's grading other AI. It tries to tell. It's like, we think this is AI. You don't know for sure, but apparently it's competing against itself, where the one AI writes the thing and the other AI decides if it's a real thing or if it's actually artificial intelligence that wrote it.
My sister is a ghost copywriter and has to do similar
Fantastic.
things where she ghost writes for whatever the assignment is.
Oh, yeah.
And for turning it in, she has to put it through this AI tester so they know that she didn't use AI. And when she puts it through, even though she wrote all of it, she puts it through and then has to rewrite everything because they believe it's AI because of how it was done. Yeah, it's pros and cons.
I wonder, because here, let's do something that's a little bit liberal in nature where you blame somebody for something. I wonder if the robots are being humanists, if they think that we're too smart. And so then they say, no, this got to be us. This has got to be computers and not humans. And so then they claim that it's AI when it's just a smart human that's doing a thing. I think that's what it is. I think it's human racism by the computers that are out there in the world. I love that take.
Where are we
I'm
at
definitely
in this
kidding.
World? Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know where we've gotten. Yeah, I'm tongue in cheek saying that, by the way.
I believe we need to bring back the life skills classes, like you said, like shop class, your cooking, your sewing, all of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no. I think a great day in school would be like just to puncture somebody's tire and see what happens. Like all the kids get to school and then you pop a tire. Maybe you have the spare ready and you're like, children, fix this. And if they can't do it, that's bad. We got to do other things. Do you know how to change a tire on a car?
I sure do.
Okay.
I learned with my
there
dad.
You go, Kylan.
Yep. My dad had a flat when I was in the car with him. So he's like, all right, learning lesson. Let's go.
Come on out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what's funny about this? I'm not trying to break bad on the missus. I love my wife. She's awesome. She's amazing. She's from Mexico. In Mexico, just like in New Jersey where I was born, you don't pump your own gas. That people pump it for you. You pull up, they do everything, you do nothing. And so my wife, even though she definitely knows how to do it now and it's not that hard, still freaks out every time she pulls up at the gas station to pump the gas and then makes me go with her and do it for her because she thinks she's going to do something wrong. She thinks the gas is going to spill all over the place. I love that. I think that's hilarious. And also a way for me to be a man that saves the day, which is something that most men want to be, I think, quite often. We need to be called in to save the day in any situation. If you have a can that's too tight and I need to open it instead of you, I feel like a Spartan for the rest of the day because I open that can. The same is true when I pump her gas. But I just love the fact that it's a life thing. She didn't experience it where she was. All right. I think I did that nicely. We'll take a break. More coming up in a bit. Craig Collins filling in on the Kendall and Casey Show.
Casey and the Sunshine Band, live at Old National Center, January 23rd at 7:30 p.m. It's the ultimate throwback party. Get your tickets today at WIBC.com.
When it comes to your home, it's important to sell it to someone you can trust. Simple Quarters has helped over 3,000 families sell their homes in Indiana.
I'm excited to start the new chapter of my life. I'm going to be moving 2 states away to be with my husband. Ronnie came out to do my walkthrough. It was great. We had a chance to talk about the house. We had a chance to listen to what my goals were, and they helped me to meet them. Then I had the offer, I believe, within 2 hours of them coming through and doing the walkthrough. Simple Quarters never tried to change their offer at any point during the process. Once they gave me that offer, it stood. The offer was absolutely fair. They did explain to me how they came to that price, and it was a fair offer. The best part about this process is I didn't have to make any repairs to the house. Simple Quarters has taken it as is, which is a huge stress relief. It just couldn't have worked out better. It really couldn't have.
Call Simple Quarters 317-687-HOME, 317-687-HOME.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed, or your money back. No matter how many times you failed in the past, this hypnosis is guaranteed to work.
After this hypnosis, I want to eat good food.
Since August, I can honestly say I have not had one potato chip.
It was life-changing for me.
And I don't think about desserts like I used to.
Bridget, how much have you lost now?
I've lost a total of 83 pounds.
Holy cow.
It's easy, it's fun, very relaxing, and very successful. And I would just say go for it.
What are you waiting for? Lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Only $59.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Hypnosis Thursday, January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis at 8 p.m. Or Saturday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss hypnosis 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 2 p.m. Registration 30 minutes before. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
If your end of summer plans don't include a trip to Macy's, then you're missing out because our Labor Day sale has huge savings to wrap up the season in style. Like dresses from Karl Lagerfeld and INC, 100 and under. Plus, just what you need for fall, like Levi's for your whole crew, 30 to 40% off. It's also the best time to update your home with our lowest prices of the season on furniture, mattresses, and more. Hurry in. Macy's Labor Day sale is going on now. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
WIBC cares, and if you or someone you care about needs food assistance, we have resources for you, including food distribution locations with an interactive map. Also, learn how you can make a difference for friends and neighbors in need, all at WIBC.com.
From warm to really cold, how will the rest of the week look like weather-wise in Indiana, where a woman was shot and killed on Sunday, the charges against a man whose son was killed earlier this month at a Kentucky university, and what Colts fans may be wondering about a certain player's future. That's all coming up from the Technology Recyclers studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Audio only.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In about an hour, Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin has another hearing in Utah. A virtual one this time for Tyler Robinson, who won't even have to appear via video from jail, with a big issue still unresolved ahead of his murder trial.
Long before Tyler Robinson is even arraigned, the court is deciding how much the public will actually get to see in this case.
Fox's Claudia Cowan.
Judge Tony Graff is expected to rule on whether a coalition of media organizations can challenge future requests for closed hearings and restricted coverage.
Robinson's charged with murder, accused of shooting Kirk while the conservative leader addressed students at Utah Valley University. The man accused of attempting to attack the Democratic and Republican National Committee headquarters has confessed, according to Justice Department documents made public. Brian Cole Jr. is accused of planting the pipe bombs that never went off, found January 5th, 2021 in Washington the night before the infamous Capitol riot. In 2 hours, President Trump will host another world leader for peace talks. The day after meeting with Ukraine's president, he'll sit down with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
They're expected to address Iran and Gaza, with the administration keen on heading to phase 2 of their Gaza peace plan. That includes the creation of an international security force and the disarmament of Hamas. Iran's president, meantime, says they're in a full-fledged war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe, saying they don't want his country to be stable.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. As for the latest talks with Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky, President Trump says they made progress.
Really, we've made it over the last month. This is not a one-day process deal. This is very complicated stuff.
He says there are thorny issues, including who gets what land being fought for. Zelensky tells Fox's Brett Baer the people of Ukraine want the war over but don't want to give territory away.
87% support peace. At the same time, 85% against to withdraw from East. From the Donbass.
That interview will be at 6 p.m. Eastern on Fox's Special Report. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It all started with Sunday storms. Right now it's 19 in Indy under cloudy skies. Wind still ripping and some snow falling in spots. Today's high is at 33. I'm Jarrett Lewis. It's 11:02. Going from mild temperatures in the 60s to the teens this morning. Forecaster Mike Ryan at the National Weather Service in Indianapolis details how Sunday's storms altered how it feels to begin this week.
That led to that line of storms coming in being quite strong. A lot of damaging winds along the line as it moved east across central Indiana. We had some reports of some damage down in Greene County, a few other locations where trees down, things like that. Very heavy rainfall with that.
Wind gusts could reach 50 miles per hour at times. There's also a chance for some snow on New Year's Eve. Charges are pending against a man whose son was killed earlier this month. Ryan Hedrick reports that he's now in trouble in Indianapolis after his arrest in southern Indiana.
Prosecutors say Dejon Fox Sr. was on drugs when he hit and killed someone last year and then drove away. He was arrested in that case and released on bond. That changed after his arrest in southern Indiana, where police say Fox Sr. and his partner posted online threats toward the man who killed their son at Kentucky State University. A grand jury last week ruled that the shooting was in self-defense. After the new arrest, prosecutors moved to revoke Fox Sr.'s bond in the crash case. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
In a shooting on Indy's southeast side Sunday, a woman is dead. A man is in custody. IMPD interviewed people who were in the area of the shooting when it happened. Officers were able to use that info and find a man close by who drove off after the shooting. The identities of both people are unknown. Residents at the Georgetown Apartments on Bunker Hill Drive in Indianapolis say their homes have been overtaken by a sophisticated network of squatters. Tenants report that groups are using shadow leases to illegally occupy vacant units, leading to a surge in break-ins and assaults. Residents are also saying there's been no appropriate action taken by the Indianapolis Housing Agency to help them. A question many Colts fans are asking today: have we seen the last of quarterback Phillip Rivers?
Other than us not winning, right? Us not winning. It's been an absolute blast for 3 weeks. So certainly if it is, I got 3 bonus games that I never saw coming. And couldn't be more thankful that I got the opportunity.
The Colts falling to 8-8 after losing their 6th straight game on Sunday to the Jags. After having started the season 7-1, they finished the year on Sunday in Houston. And it's been 2 weeks since the Hoosiers have been on the football field, but they return to action this Thursday when they face Alabama in the Rose Bowl game. IU is a 7-point favorite in the college football playoff quarterfinal. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Don Fisher for QC Kinetics. I was struggling with chronic knee pain and wasn't encouraged with the options of risky surgery and pain pills. QC Kinetics offered the best option for me, cutting-edge regenerative medicine. Their non-invasive treatment stimulated my body's own biologics so I could be pain-free and get back to doing what I love, playing golf. QC Kinetics has a fantastic success rate, and it's clear to see why so many Hoosiers are happy to tell their story of how they reclaim their lives with the QC Kinetics approach. Ready to live your life pain-free? Go to qckinetics.com/Indianapolis or call 317-559-PAIN and get a no-obligation consultation. QC Kinetics uses the latest technologies, whether it's stem cell, PRP, plasma, or a number of other advanced therapies. Call QC Kinetics. It'll be the best call you will make. Get back in the game, whatever that is for you. Call 317-559-PAIN.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. Tony Katz is coming up in about an hour with Tony Katz today. He will be talking about the latest in the Ukraine-U.S. meeting that took place in Florida and a hopeful end of that conflict, that 4-year war between Russia and Ukraine. A bunch of other things I'm sure he'll talk about too, but I would stay tuned for that. I've mentioned it a little bit, but I'm willing to say that I think Tony does a better job with that topic than I do, probably with a lot of topics than I do. Before I get to more serious stuff, I was talking off air with producer Kylan about the chat. Now, I know on Tony's show, I think he calls them cats, kittens, as the people who are on the social media chats for the live stream. Do Kendall and Casey have a nickname for their chat people?
Not after that.
I think cats, kittens is fine. I think it's funny. I think that's totally fine. I love that you said that the way you did. But I don't know if the Kendall and Casey group, if you guys have a nickname. But you were telling me some of the stuff people were saying in the chat about our last topic. We were talking about a few different things. One of them being how, gas stations used to pump your gas. And actually, they still do in some places. New Jersey, I think, still has it by and large. And Mexico still does it all the time. What were people saying about that?
They were saying plenty. They were talking about the Texaco. You can trust your car to the man that wears the star.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they were talking about how it only took $2 in gas for almost to fill up a full tank in the late 50s and early 60s.
That sounds lovely.
Someone reminisced on when gas hit 35 cents a gallon, there was panic in households. So very different now.
Very different world. Well, yeah. Well, and I think when you used to pull in to the gas station when they had the attendant, like the person did everything. They checked the fluids. And this still happens in Mexico. I love watching it. You pull in and the guy, he'll do anything you want. I think he'll change your oil for you if you pay him the extra to do that while you're sitting there. Although I think that's probably a service you got to request. They don't do that just anytime you pull in. But that kind of thing, I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to have more attendants at gas stations, the human service element, just because it's better than having to get out and do it yourself. But because of that, my wife is always very scared that she's going to do it wrong because she grew up in a place that doesn't do it at all. And every time we go back to her country, they still don't do it. Like I'm getting out of the car when we pull into the gas station and people are looking at me like I'm insane. They're like, what are you doing? There's somebody who has a job that does this. Was there another topic that they were weighing in on the chat too? Was there something else you wanted to pass on, or was it just that?
We had talked about how kids can't read clocks these days.
Yes.
And how teachers should take the time to be able to teach those. And even reading cursive. Writing and reading cursive is not taught now in school.
No, it's not.
Although there is a mom that I follow on social media, and she started teaching her kid cursive. And the way she got the kid to even be interested in it was teaching it as a code language that not any of your other classmates can read. You write in
secret language.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's interesting. You know what's funny about that to me is I still write in cursive when I handwrite anything. And there are a lot of people that I work with or that I come across who don't understand it at all. They're like, what did you do here? Why did you scribble on a paper? And I'm like, that's a thing we used to know. Do you know how to do cursive or no?
Yeah, I do. I write my signature and then sometimes I'll write letters in cursive, but it's mostly
how's your signature?
Can
you read all the letters of your signature or no?
Let me look over here. I think you can. I don't have two L's in the tally, but I think you can read everything else.
That's the top. My signature is 2 giant C's and a bunch of scribbles. Like I don't actually try to write any other letters. I remember well, I know. I remember, I think it was like Michael Jordan or someone who had a signature where you couldn't really make out all of the letters after the M and the J. And as a little kid who thought at some point my signature was probably going to be important, I had to start practicing this. And so I make the C for Craig and the C for Collins as large as I can. And then within each C, I scribble nonsense. But I do it. I think it's pretty similar all the time. Like, I think it's the same scribbly nonsense, and I'm proud of it for some reason. I don't know why we're talking about this right now. Almost no one asks me to sign anything in the world in which we live, not even like my check. I don't even think they care about that. They're like, I'll fix it. I'll do it for you. My wife has forged my signature a ton of times on stuff. I'm also going to put that out there. No one go after her. I'm not pressing any charges. But I'm pretty sure that if you looked for a signature of me in society now, more likely it's my wife's version than mine for things that are signed by me.
Did you ever?
It's probably. Go ahead.
Did you ever need to, sign for your parents in school?
You mean, did I ever make up a note and have to put their name on it? Is that what you're saying? Did I ever fake a note?
Sure.
I don't know. I don't think so. The only thing that ever happened to me in school is when I would fake sick with the tummy ache and then get in trouble when the nurse came in the room and me and my buddy were like jumping on the beds because we thought we were getting out of school early, and then we'd get sent back to class. But I don't think we tried to fake notes. What about you?
If it were something where it's like, here's my signature to say that she can go on the field trip, I would always call her. I would be sweating bullets if I had to just do it on my own, but I would call her and be like, hey, I forgot to have you sign this thing. Can I sign for you? Are you sure it's okay? Are you like
Yeah. That's funny. So you did the honest version of forging your parents' signature, not the fake version.
I couldn't do the other one.
Okay, I got you. That's very sweet. That's very nice. You know, I would try to fake sick all the time in school, but I think when I was in school, we didn't even need the note. We just got to go to the nurse because there was a nurse that worked in my school. I don't know if they still have these in schools now. And you'd go to the nurse's office and you'd sit there in the little nurse bed. And I don't even know what the qualifications were of the school nurse. I think she was a real nurse. I'm not sure. And then she'd do the test, and the test required nothing. Like, are you sick? Yeah, I feel sick. And then you got to go home, which was great. And so I faked sick a bunch. And I think even the bus would come back and pick you up and bring you home. Because we probably had 3 or 4 kids go home sick every day because of our system. But I was in a Catholic school in New Jersey where we had all nuns teaching us, and they'd tell us, don't lie. And then you'd go to the school nurse, who I don't think was a nun, and you'd lie, and you get to go home. And it was great. But I don't think I ever had to sign anything. That was a long description of something you didn't ask about, wasn't it?
Hey, that's okay. What else do we have time for?
Fine. We'll move on. We'll move on to other things. I do love that, though. And I love, again, the story about the day that me and my buddy both got tummy aches together. I went to the nurse's office, and I think she just left on purpose, knowing that we were faking, because we started jumping on the bed. This was real, and celebrating the fact that we got to go home, and then immediately got in trouble and were told that we were not allowed to go home and we shouldn't lie. And then I think there was probably some sort of mass that was held. I'm kidding. We went to church in school and were told how we were terrible kids. All right. Other things out there. Fine. I'll move on to serious stuff. I really don't want to talk about it today. I'm going to be honest with you. The holidays are happening. Thursday is a great day for Christmas, both for money. I read that a whole lot of people likely went to movies and stuff because the tail end of the week was very focused on the holiday. And then that bleeds over into the weekend. And then you come back on Monday and you pop open the news and you see a whole bunch of stuff about Ukraine and awful things. And you're like, man, this is all terrible. This is all stuff I don't want to think about, but we have to, darn it. We have to do it. We have to talk about the serious stuff out there. As far as the meeting between Zelensky and Trump goes, and I do think some of the audio out there that's pretty good is coming from people like Scott Jennings saying that Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize in 2026. The fact that we're this close to peace, and I know Trump, when he first took office, said he'd end stuff in a day. That was obviously illogical and not going to happen. But to end stuff potentially within the first year that he's in this position, and having Biden have failed to prevent it and then failed to end it within the years that it was taking place while Biden was in office, like, this is a remarkable accomplishment. And it's a remarkable accomplishment for one very specific reason, is that the United States is now willing, when they weren't before under the previous administration, to tell Ukraine they have to give something up. That is a thing that most of society didn't want to have happen, or I think some of society didn't want to have happen, because a lot of people, rightfully so, see Ukraine as the victim here. But the inevitable, place we'd find, and I thought this from like month 2 of this conflict, the inevitable place that we'd find is that in order for the fighting to stop, Russia would have to get something, because no one else was willing to put boots in the ground, as Tony Katz says often, to fight this fight with Ukraine for Ukraine. And Ukraine could not, especially a long form conflict, withstand the amount of loss that you'd have in that to stay fighting Russia for years. Most people expected this to end within a few months. The fact that it's gone on so long is remarkable and a credit to Ukraine. But the way that these sort of conflicts end, the way that one side chooses to inevitably stand down, does usually mean that the side defending itself has to lose something in this regard, especially when the forces are so unevenly matched as they are in this fight. But the fact that we've gotten here, that there might be security guarantees even for Ukraine for the next 15 years or so, if they surrender territory, all of that is a byproduct of the United States actually using its influence as the funding apparatus of the fight to say we're not going to keep funding an endless war. We need it to end, and we need these to be things you're going to agree to. Because if we still had Biden in office, if we still had anyone in office who didn't like the optics of what's happening right now, the visual version of, oh man, it looks terrible that Ukraine is giving in after it was attacked, then we'd have an ongoing conflict, and we'd have a military of Ukraine that was depleting by the day, by the month, by the year, to the point where it eventually won't be able to defend itself at all if this just keeps going. And likely, I think, more that would be given from Ukraine to Russia, and more that would be devastated. The country as a whole seems to be mostly destroyed. If you believe some of the other reporting on this and not the mainstream reporting on it, there's a lot of things that have been destroyed throughout the entirety of Ukraine. Granted, there are certain cities that probably still resemble the life they had before the war. But by and large, the toll of this conflict is obvious. And so the end of it, and an end of it that, Russia doesn't take everything, is actually good for the world. So I do think it's interesting that as this gets talked about, as Zelensky sat down with Trump, because if you remember, I'll say one last thing about this before I take a break. Just a few months ago, Zelensky was much more defiant in the room with Trump, much more unwilling to entertain some of the discussion points that seemed to indicate that they were likely to lose something in the inevitable end of that fight, that they were likely to give territory and whatnot to Russia. This was not something that Zelensky had accepted. He was adjusting to Trump being in office and Biden no longer being in office, and trying, I think, to position himself in a way and reach out to Congress or anyone else who'd help him, as if Trump was the bad guy for talking about this stuff. But now, this many months into the conflict more, and this much longer with Trump in the position of power as the president, it's the end reality. And it's the reality I think you always expected, I always expected, again, to be the outcome as far as this fight is concerned, because it made no sense. I'll say it this way. It's an awful way to say it, but I will say it this way. The exit in Afghanistan was obviously horrible, obviously terrible. Every part of it is the kind of thing that a different leader, Trump or anyone else, would have known that the right way to do it was so utterly different than the way they did it for optics and optics only. The reason Biden failed so spectacularly to remove troops from Ukraine in a positive way was because he cared about being able to say he ended that conflict, not because he cared about protecting the people that fight these fights for us. But optics becomes a huge component to how some people focus on these conflicts. But Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, any of the fighting we did, none of those places, I should remove Iran from the equation. We didn't actually fight them directly, and they're different. But none of those places would ever have beaten the United States, even though it was an endless war, an endless struggle in a lot of ways, and something we probably shouldn't have done to begin with, and certainly something that we should have exited better than how we exited it. There was no fear of someday our forces being overwhelmed by the forces of the other side. That's the position Russia's in. That's when Trump says that, they have all the cards. They can't lose to Ukraine without the help of someone else. It's just impossible. And so Russia is comfortable fighting a fight that lasts as long as the conflict that we had in places like Iraq or Afghanistan, because they know that there's only so much harm that can happen from one side to the other compared to the opposite. The amount of slow and sort of, meticulous destruction of a place. So I just think it's interesting that, again, we got here just a couple days after the holiday, but that we're so very close to the end of this conflict, which has to be a thing that gets credited to President Trump and only President Trump for getting us there by being stronger than the previous administration was. All right. I think I've repeated myself enough times on this topic. Quick break, a lot more. Craig Collins filling in. Kendall and Casey, 93 WIBC.
Tickets are on sale right now for Trump 1 year later. The highs, the lows, how we win the midterms. Happening at the Hyatt Regency, downtown Indianapolis. The bourbon will flow. The food will be fantastic. We're going to go over Trump's past year and how we use that to win the midterms. It's going to be informing, entertaining, and very, very funny. I promise. Join us, Trump 1 year later. Brought to you by Premier Arms, PA Jewelers, Defiance Beef, Chimney Solutions, and WIBC. Get your tickets at WIBC.com.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters. Over 3 decades of restoring your home or business to better than new condition. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
WIBC cares, and if you or someone you care about needs food assistance, we have resources for you, including food distribution locations with an interactive map. Also, learn how you can make a difference for friends and neighbors in need, all at WIBC.com.
If your end of summer plans don't include a trip to Macy's, then you're missing out because our Labor Day sale has huge savings to wrap up the season in style. Like dresses from Karl Lagerfeld and INC, 100 and under. Plus, just what you need for fall, like Levi's for your whole crew, 30 to 40% off. It's also the best time to update your home with our lowest prices of the season on furniture, mattresses, and more. Hurry in. Macy's Labor Day sale is going on now. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. A bunch of stuff to talk about out there in the world. And yet, we're just after Christmas, just before New Year's. This is the time of the year where people definitely have checked out. There was a story I think I did earlier this week, filling in on Tony Katz in the Morning News, where people don't even know what day it is. Between, I think it was last Wednesday or last Tuesday and until after New Year's Eve, you might wake up and not remember what day it is. Obviously, if you're on a long-term vacation, even more so, that's true. But this is unique to this time of year where most people, even if you're even showing up and following your weekly routine compared to what you do normally, it's just not all there. Just everything's not there. And so I love that. I love that idea. And I'm leaning into that a little bit, I think, in some of the discussions we're having on the air. I saw this story at a Fortune magazine, fortune.com. Gen Zers and millennials are flocking to so-called analog islands. This is places where you might visit for vacation that don't have as much availability for technology, or they have the availability for things that are the very opposite of the technology we have, so that they can feel disconnected, because being connected is often terrible for your mental health and other things. One of the things that people apparently are trying out while on some of these vacations to places where technology is harder to come by, stick shift vehicles. I thought this was hilarious because the least, fun thing you can do on a holiday, in my opinion, is try to learn stick shift. I know how to drive both a motorcycle, which I owned for years, and stick shift cars. I actually owned them as a kid growing up. So I'm definitely capable of this. This is not coming from a place of a guy that doesn't know how to do this, but I would never want to teach somebody this on a vacation. Like, I would not want someone to go with me, my wife or anybody else, and be like, hey, can you teach me how to drive stick? That sounds horrible. That sounds absolutely terrible. But I like the fact that young people, millennials and Gen Z, so a group I'm in, are arrogant enough to think it's probably not that hard, that they ruin at least a day of their vacation trying to learn this sort of thing, whether it's in a Jeep or anything else, which apparently they're doing other places. Kylan, do you know how to drive a stick shift car?
I sure do. I learned with
Look
my
at you.
sister. Yeah.
Nice.
Her Mustang,
what kind of car did you learn on?
Yeah, she had a Mustang, which is crazy that she would entrust me with driving it, but it was, it was really nice. I learned to drive stick after I got my motorcycle license. And so it was...
Wait a minute, what? You have a motorcycle license too?
I sure do. I've got a little Yamaha.
How have we never talked about this? Kylan, we work together a surprising amount on holidays and whatnot for two people that have definitely never met in real life. And we both drive motorcycles. You have a Yamaha?
No, I do. Yep. She's a beautiful blue. Next time you're in Indiana, we'll have to take it for a ride.
Yes. Oh, that sounds great. I don't think I can ride on the back of anybody else's motorcycle. That's not allowed.
Do you
for
have
my
any
mandem.
friends here who still have a bike?
Yeah, I do. We can figure it out. We can both go. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'd rent one before I'd ride on the back of anybody else's motorcycle. It's not a you thing. It's a me thing.
Valid. I don't think I'd want you on the back. I'm strong, but...
That was hilarious. That's so nice of you to say that so bluntly. But no, it's fine. Yeah, I used to own a Triumph Bonneville, which recently made a debut in a Marvel movie, or at least a Marvel thing. Captain America apparently is driving a Triumph in the Avengers Doomsday movie. No one cares about any of this. I cared a whole lot about it when I saw it because it was a very quick focus on a Triumph bike. I like them. They're made in the UK and in Britain. So I think that Captain America is probably living in the UK in the next movie. But anyway, I was just excited that he was driving my bike. So I had one of those for a long time. I tried to teach my wife how to drive it, and she did not enjoy that. That did not go well, mostly because she couldn't lift it. And it's not even a heavy bike. She just couldn't lift it. And so like that ended rather, I don't think we ever moved. I think teaching her was telling her how it worked and her thinking about like how that would work and then getting off the bike. But yes.
There's so many aspects to it.
I know. Yeah, right. And I would actually drive my motorcycle to Indiana. Not right now. It sounds like a terrible idea, but I would do that now so that I can go drive around. And I think that needs to happen. I think I need to do a Houston to Indiana bike ride for charity at some point connected to WIBC because I would also love that and enjoy that. But yes, most people apparently don't know how to drive stick in our generations. So they choose during the holidays to waste a whole bunch of their time learning a thing that they'll probably also never use again after that. Do you like the idea of being away from technology while you're on a vacation?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's a huge trend to be able to disconnect and get some mindfulness back. And absolutely being present is something that is constantly on my feed. So
Can you do it though? Can you actually like put the phone down and spend a few days where you're not connected to stuff?
That's a great question.
This is a very long pause. I think the answer is no, or is it yes?
I would love to. I think I'd be able to with the work that I am in. I know during sometimes with radio being 24/7, you can't always put the phone down. But
you cannot, yes.
If it's a certain time of year, I'll have to plan that out. Yeah. I'll let you know how it goes.
I love that. I love that you're saying you can do it, but you've obviously never done it before.
Nope,
so it definitely, I've done it a little bit. I've done it like most of a day where the phone stays in the hotel room and you don't really have access to it.
Oh, wow.
And it's awesome. I know. Well, I tell you, it's awesome because if people who care about you know you're on vacation and you're not paying attention to like work for a few days, then if you don't respond to them, they're not offended. Because I think that's the worst thing in the society now, as far as dissociating from technology for an amount of time, is there are people in your life who will think that you're ignoring them if they don't get a response right away. And that to me is so dumb because we used to not be a respond right away society. We used to have voice machines and everything that people would, do. And so that's the only concern that I ever have the longer I'm away from technology is that somebody will send me an email or a text or something and then I don't respond and then they think I'm a big jerk. This actually happened on Christmas. I'll tell you that on Christmas Day, I didn't have anything to do. So I left my phone in my car at the place we were at and didn't get it till that night. And I had texts from people, Merry Christmas and stuff. And I didn't respond at night because it was too late. So I responded the next day. And a couple of my friends were like, finally, what took you so long? And I was like, I'm sorry, dude. I really apologize for not saying Merry Christmas yesterday, but I wasn't paying attention to my phone at all. And it was lovely. It was not lovely to get in the fight with the friends. It was lovely to not care about it for 24 hours. That was great. So I highly, highly recommend it. And I think I've joked before, I don't know if it's on this show, but other places, that we should do one day where the entire world goes technology free. We all show up at a park together. Somebody brings a Frisbee or a hacky sack and we just see what happens. I feel like that's a scenario that I would really enjoy. No technology day. And we see how many of us wind up, doing things, maybe go to putt-putt or go bowling as a group, as a society, and see how that goes.
I think it would be healing.
Right. Yeah, I think it would be healing and also hilarious for me, again, to feel everybody at the same time show up at the park together with a bunch of hacky sacks because it's going to.
Indy, and every time I look in the mirror, I'm so glad I did. Guys at the top of their game, radio personalities, coaches, and well-known athletes have all trusted We Grow Hair Indy to restore their hair. Why? Because their results are permanent, natural, and speak for themselves. Here's what you do. You call today, 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Schedule a totally free, no hassle, no obligation consultation. Darren and the gang, the fine folks at We Grow Hair Indy, will take a look at what's going on top of your head and make some suggestions on how you can get your hair and your confidence back. Then it's up to you. In the meantime, see some other folks who have made the choice to get their confidence back by heading over to WeGrowHairIndy.com. 317-522-2995, 317-522-2995.
Well, there's a big reason why Window Nation was recently ranked highest on Forbes' list of best window installation companies. You want to know what that reason is? It's because they are the best. I have Window Nation windows. I work with Window Nation. They replaced my old windows in the front of my house in a day, left my house cleaner than before the install. And they have got one huge sale going on right now.
Yeah, the clock is ticking here. Window Nation's big end-of-the-year sale. This is where you could get 50% off all window styles. 50% off. And if that's not enough, you could get 0% interest financing for 5 years. 50% off, 0% interest financing for 5 years. Window Nation, A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. I've seen their work firsthand. I'm a customer. They're awesome. Go to windownation.com right now. That's windownation.com. But make sure you tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Food insecurity is an urgent problem, one that impacts real Hoosiers. You can help today. Gleaners needs donations. Your contribution goes further with Gleaners. For every $10 you give, Gleaners leverages their resources to turn your $10 into $90 worth of groceries for families who desperately need help right now. Your gift benefits local community members, and every dollar counts. Gleaners also needs volunteers now to help with warehouse distribution. Go to gleaners.org and donate or get involved today.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beat when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
KFC Phillips are back. 4 delicious meals for just $7 each. That's great news for everyone, except the driver in F1 the movie who only gets 2.5 seconds for a pit stop. 2.5 seconds? That's not enough time to indulge in juicy original recipe chicken. Oh, and he's gone. Creamy mashed potatoes, sweet pie poppers, and a medium drink? Well, the rest of us can take as long as we'd like to enjoy any KFC $7 fill-up. Then see F1 the movie starring Brad Pitt. Only in theaters June 27th. Rated PG-13. Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Nobody likes a cold shower. LD Smith has hot deals on water heaters. Save up to $300 on a new water heater install.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Winter storms and colder temps. Cloudy and windy. Right now 21 at our Radio 1 studios. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Severe storms and strong winds rolling through the state on Sunday.
There is some damage down in Greene County near Linton that we will go down and take a look at today. Other than that, there were a few tornadoes back across central Illinois.
That's forecaster Mike Ryan from the National Weather Service. Today, the temperature has dropped noticeably. We were in the 60s over the weekend, but now the 20s today with more wind and snow. A woman is dead in a shooting from Sunday on Indy's southeast side. IMPD says they have a man in custody in connection to that. Charges are pending against a man whose son was killed at Kentucky State University earlier this month. Last year, prosecutors say DeJohn Fox Sr. was on drugs when he hit and killed someone and then took off. And the number 5 team in the nation is returning from their holiday break. Purdue takes on Kent State tonight at Mackey Arena. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hi, my name's Robin Fletcher. I've smoked for 46 years. I went to a seminar in March of 27 and seen Mark. My best friend came with me. We both went to it, and neither one of us smoked a cigarette in almost 7.5 months. I took my 3 sisters and my brother-in-law and my sister's best friend and them went. None of them have smoked a cigarette, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
My name is Jen Carpenter. I went to a Mark Patrick seminar, the Stop Smoking, and it worked. A friend of mine also
still went, and he still no longer smokes. And it was just amazing.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed. Only $59.99. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all, or your money back. Stop the cravings and stop smoking for good. Stop smoking hypnosis begins at 8 p.m. on Thursday, January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville, or at 2 p.m. on Saturday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Registration 30 minutes before. Sign up today at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Tony Katz, the Morning News, 93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. Wait a minute, I did that wrong. It's not Tony Katz. This is Kendall and Casey. Oh man, I was telling myself all day I wasn't going to do that, and I did it because I'm so used to one, working with Kylan on the other show, and two, filling in on the other show. So it is 12:30 or 11:30 in the afternoon here. It is definitely not the morning news anymore. My fault to all involved. I apologize to Kendall, Casey, Tony, anybody. This is the Kendall and Casey show. Rob Kendall, Casey Daniel. It is definitely not the other thing. And I'm an idiot and blame me. I hate doing that as a radio guy too, because it does annoy. Not that I think it'll annoy Kendall and Casey, but it does annoy me when somebody doesn't say my name when they're filling in on my show. So I apologize again. All right. Anyway, let's do some quick stuff. This is interesting to me. China had its largest war games like demonstration of how it could quickly surround Taiwan. They did this earlier today, Monday for them, actually. So it was probably still Sunday night for us. This is a demonstration of just how quickly Beijing could decide that it's over between them and Taiwan and essentially cut them off from the rest of the world. This is something that Taiwan will have to choose how, if at all, it tries to respond to something like this. It's going to do basically nothing. Like, that's the part. It was a war game. It was a thing that wasn't, real, but it was a demonstration of strength. And you might ask yourself why this happened right now. And I have a theory. I believe that this is 100% tied to the U.S. and Venezuela. A whole lot of people out there are saying that the U.S. is doing what they did with, Iraq, with any other sort of country in which they're very oil rich, and that the whole fight is just about oil. That the United States is essentially trying to gain an advantage by going after Venezuela and somehow getting control of the vast oil reserves that exist in that country. That is idiotic, and I'll tell you why. The reason it's idiotic is right now, if the United States wanted to disrupt oil trade between Venezuela, China, and Russia, we could do something much easier. We could buy it, and we could buy it cheaper than the amount of money we're gonna use in what we've been doing to try to demonstrate our own military strength to a country that does hurt us. They hurt us through the drugs that move from that country into our country, whether it's fentanyl or cocaine or whatever you want to call it. I know a lot of people on the left say it's not fentanyl. I don't care what drug it is. If it's a drug that's hurting our society, that's bad. And also a lot of drugs that go through Venezuela wind up either, touching the United States and then going elsewhere, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of ways where that industry is uniquely bad for us and for the world. So fighting it is not a bad thing. I think it's sort of ridiculous that people out there say that the United States blowing up drug boats is the same as attacking people who are just innocently fishing, because drug boats and the drug trade is bad for society as a whole. It's bad for society beyond our own country. So I don't know why that is as controversial as people are making it. It's sort of ridiculous. And there was a war on drugs at one point that feels like we should be having it again based on some of the bad things that happened. But if you go beyond that, the other big thing that matters between the United States and Venezuela is the way that Venezuela is used by Russia and China and other countries that we don't always get along with to circumvent any of the paper attacks. That's what I like to call them, paper tiger, whatever you want it to be. Attempts financially to disrupt these countries like Russia. When Biden said that sanctions were going to be the avenue to prevent Russia from invading Ukraine, he was being an idiot. And he obviously didn't think he was a moron, but I don't even think he understood if he was all there at that point or any point. So who knows? But nonetheless, that wasn't going to work. And one of the big reasons that sanctions are so much less effective than they used to be at some point on places like Russia and China is because of countries like Venezuela and the way that they prop up trade. The biggest trade partners of Venezuela, unsurprising, Russia and China. The biggest way in which oil is, passed along between those countries, even though Russia is oil rich itself, through Venezuela. So it's amazing to see people miss the actual target. Not that they don't miss targets all the time, especially mainstream media people missing targets on what's actually going on. The United States is trying to find a way to have true influence over the countries that it doesn't, get along with often, again, as I said. And this is the latest example of a reason that's important. If China at some point actually does take provocative military action on Taiwan, and the United States is thrust into a world where we want to help defend Taiwan and whatever that looks like, we will hope, we will pray that we have a capability of influencing China, not that it would really work just with the help of Venezuela, through preventing some of those mechanisms that allow an economy to stay, in place, even after the United States makes it harder to do trade with us, harder to do business with us, and harder to do business with a lot of our friends throughout the world. So I just think this is so interesting or so important in the grand scheme of what's going on. And the reason why one, action is being taken over here is because of an action that's happening over here, and people by and large are disregarding it. But I can say it more simplistically. Venezuela is a place that's run by a horrible dictator. Most of the country is poor and, struggling to survive. That is not untrue. A ton of corruption exists. A ton of horrible things like drug trade and whatnot run rampant in places like that. Terrorist organizations operate there. Like, you can go down the list of all these things that are absolutely true about how bad life has gotten in that part of the world that is very close to us, and how much people that are further away from us, powers that we conflict with, want to use it to get close. It's the same thing in a way, and this is definitely not a good comparison, but I'll make it for the sake of hopefully helping you understand the point I'm trying to make here. The United States has a strategic partnership with Israel, by and large, partially because no one else in that area is our friend or Israel's friend. And it's very important for both of us that we have a friend in that area, and that Israel has someone that helps them defend themselves from everybody else that surrounds them. In a way, again, not at all the same thing. Very, very different circumstances as far as the life and, quality of life within the country. Israel is not horrible to its people, the way that Venezuela is. But Venezuela is trying to be used by Russia and China to get access closely to us, to harm us in a way. So you can really think of it in those terms, that this strategic partnership, regardless of the behavior of Venezuela, is much more important to places like Russia and China. And because of that, we need to actually stop something. And the nice thing, this is a weird way to say it, the nice thing about this circumstance is we'd actually be helping the people in Venezuela in whatever we do. And I'm not advocating that we necessarily start a war. I know a lot of people are expecting that to be the outcome of all of this. I think truly the biggest thing we want to do is disrupt the oil trade that exists. We want to take as much control of that as possible, because it is truthfully the biggest thing hurting us beyond. And it's not to get the oil. It's so overly simplistic when people say it that way. It's to do something very, very different than just get more product here in the United States and try to drive the cost of oil down even more. Like that, that's silly. That's to me dumb in 2025 to be the only reason we would do something. But nonetheless, the reason I talk about this, the reason I mention all this is because of the news out of China and the way in which they're demonstrating their potential ability to harm Taiwan, to encircle Taiwan. All of that is because of what Trump is doing with Venezuela. And both of those sides know it. The rest of our society doesn't seem to understand it, but a whole lot of people do. And I think that it's actually a good thing if we continue to behave the way we're behaving, because that actually gets to the heart of the problem. Just sanctions and all that stuff is never going to work. And actually allowing Russia, forcing Russia is the right term, to play ball and to actually live up to any sort of peace agreement with Ukraine, there will need to be a strength component for the United States that we didn't have before. And that component of strength may very well come through changing the leadership in Venezuela, changing everything there to make it a country that does more to benefit us and does less to benefit our enemies. That is inevitably the plan at the end of the day for all that. And I think that that's vitally important to not only the immediate safety of our country, but the long-term safety of a lot of the places that we're trying to help and defend. All right. On that note, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do a little bit extra silly stuff. I do want to revisit a motorcycle topic. I just found out that producer Kylan is a motorcycle person. I am a motorcycle person, so that's great. And Matt Baer, who's not with us, Matt Baer does traffic in the morning and in the afternoon, but not hanging out right now, has heard this story enough times that Matt will be happy he's not on the show. I will talk about the motorcycle accident I got in college and how I'm Spider-Man. That's essentially the end of the story. So that coming up and more in just a bit. Craig Collins filling in on the Kendall and Casey show, not Tony Katz in the Morning News, 93 WIBC.
MarkPatrickSeminars.com.
You still thinking job change in the new year? Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy. IT? Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI. That's what I did. Really? How? Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up. Sweet. Are classes online or on campus? Both. Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits. Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Strike up some fun with Hammer and Nigel. Their annual bowling event, Red, White, and Bowl, hits Woodland Bowl Friday, January 16th. Meet the hosts, bowl for charity, and enjoy a great night presented by Jack Daniels. Details at WIBC.com.
This is the Kendall and Casey show, 93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Producer Kylan is hanging out on special assignment over the holidays. We wind up working together a lot over the holidays, Kylan and I. And I just found out, and she just found out, that we both own motorcycles, which is something that had never come up off the air before. And motorcycles are great. They're wonderful vehicles. I once got in an accident in mine, though, and my wife very much tried to prevent me from ever getting another one for quite a long time. And I listened for a long time because, you know, happy wife, happy life. But I'll tell you that the motorcycle accident that happened convinced me that I'm indestructible. And that's probably a terrible thing, but it did. So I'm going to tell the story here quickly on the air. Kylan can weigh in as someone who owns bikes as well. But this very quickly, and I've told this story on a Matt and Craig excellent podcast more than once, I think, and probably not good that I've told it more than once, but darn it, I don't care. Spider-Man is the end of the story. So you can hear it there too, and hear Matt's reaction to it too there if you want to hear how Matt Baer reacts to this story. But I was driving my motorcycle in Chicago, where I lived for a very long time. I was going to work. I went through a red light. You know, it had obviously been green when I went through it, and then it turned red. And then I stopped because the person in front of me was turning into an apartment complex. And then all of a sudden in my rear view, I look down and I see a car barreling toward the light that definitely is going to run the red and is definitely going to hit me. Like they're going to do two terrible things at once, and it's going to be bad. And the car in front of me, thankfully, was turning out of the way, so I wasn't going to, you know, get hit from one vehicle into another vehicle. So here's what I did. I looked down and I simply just pushed up off of my motorcycle pegs right as the car hit me. I floated in the air like a superhero. The bike went out from under me, spun, destroyed, sad, and I feel like I could watch it in slow motion, getting destroyed as I was floating in the air. But I think the way the car impacted me and the bike, it just catapulted me upward, and then I landed on my feet. And then I turned around, and as I turned around, the car that hit me was screeching to a stop right in front of me without hitting me. And then 2 young women popped out of the car. They were attractive. That's not important, but it's part of the story. And they kept apologizing to me and telling me there were reasons that they made some horrible decisions and, whatnot. And I inevitably just took their insurance information and wound up getting a new bike because of the payment on it. But I survived. The most important part is that I survived without a scratch. And so from that moment on, my wife said it was a miracle and I should never drive a motorcycle again. And I said it was a demonstration of the superpower that lies within me, and I should have motorcycles for the rest of my life because I'm unkillable. I'm not sure what side of the argument Kylan will land on, or anyone out there will. I assume most people will land on the side my wife is on. But come on, I flew through the air and landed on my feet like a gosh darn superhero. I deserve to have a motorcycle forever.
I always advocate for safety. So you should always wear a helmet. You should always try and be safe.
Right.
Don't be riding in crazy, awful conditions. But
correct.
You survived and thrived. The fact that you're a Superman,
yes,
absolutely, I would get another motorcycle. Did you see that?
Yeah,
I'm Tom Cruise in real life.
When I landed on my feet and the car kind of screeched to a halt in front of me, it felt like a movie for a second. Like it really felt like I lived out a scene that you would have to rehearse to make it happen that way. And when the 2 20-something girls popped out of the car, I was in my 20s too at the time, by the way, and they ran up to me and were apologizing. Like immediately, I kind of felt proud that I had just shown off by accident in front of these people. I was married at the time, so no, flirting of any kind occurred. But just the fact that I was amazing in front of people, to me, was enough of a thing as a reward that goes. And they did give me insurance information, and they did take responsibility for the crash. All that happened. So I got a replacement, but I think I'm unkillable. I know I shouldn't say that. That's a horrible thing to put out there into the world. But in that moment, I definitely felt, invincible. And so I've told this story time and again as an example of how I should absolutely, as I said, never give up motorcycles. The missus tells it as the lucky moment that I needed to learn the lesson from.
I don't think we should be testing the killable theory, personally. But the one-off is great.
Okay.
Let's take
Yeah.
it. Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah. She still believes, unfortunately, more than she should, although men do like to be impressive around. Well, we like to show off around the ladies. She does believe a portion of it that made me so confident is the fact that the people who were driving the other vehicle were young women and not older dudes or something. I don't think that's true, though. I think I would have been just as proud in any scenario with anybody. I don't think that's the motivating factor at all here. But it has been part of the argument from time to time. So I like that too. I love that too. But at least, Kylan, you can understand how odd of a decision I made to just push up on my pegs and how that essentially saved my life. So really, truthfully, this is all about how great I am and nothing else. All right, other things out there quickly before we get out of here. Stores are horrible right now. If you're going to stores, most likely because a whole bunch of people are returning stuff. My wife and I didn't return anything, but we did go to a box store over the weekend, and the line for returning stuff was crazy, which I find interesting because I do think a lot of people are getting their gifts online and, giving their gifts to other people. But by and large, a lot of these box store places to get people into the store are allowing for an Amazon return to be done at their location instead of, putting it back in the mail and stuff. So this seems to be the best time of the year for the box stores to have people in them because they're returning items from other stores, which is just weird. I just kept thinking about how odd that is, but how it's essentially probably working because you get the little coupon after that I saw everybody was getting for some amount of stuff off. Yep. Okay. You were saying yes to this?
Oh, yeah.
So I imagine there's a lot of shopping that's happening at the, Macy's and the other types of places like that of the world that are doing these returns.
A couple thoughts, because they have an estimated value of $850 billion being returned at this time after the holidays. Wow. That's crazy.
Yes, it is.
Billions of dollars. But some stores are now charging return fees if you guys are bringing stuff back, like Macy's, TJ Maxx, Best Buy. Some of them even charging up to $45 if you're returning things because of how much is just returned every year.
Yeah, You know, it's crazy. It makes you almost think that you should just be getting gift cards for people at this point. Like, really, what are we doing? If I'm going to buy you something and you like it, but you're going to like something else more, why don't I just give you money or a version of money at a certain place? I like the gift card move too, because it shows that I've thought out a little bit of what you're going to get. Like, I've contemplated the category of stuff that I'm getting you when you go shop for yourself, and I'm not just giving you money. And then you decide what to do with that. My mother gives people Amazon gift cards for Christmas. She sent me one, and we actually use it to buy food at Whole Foods, which you can do. You can order the food on Amazon or on the Whole Foods website, go pick it up in the store, and use the Amazon gift card to do it. So I love that. It's my favorite, and it's my wife's favorite. Get the fancy groceries for the Christmas thing. But I love the fact that, like, whatever category of gift card you choose, I've demonstrated some amount of thought. I've given you a gift that wasn't just money. So there you go. I've somehow decided, you know, on the kind of, although with Amazon, it's literally anything really that I could get with that. But I like that. So maybe we should all do that and not buy stuff, buy real stuff for each other.
But hey, while you're at the stores, you might as well check out that Christmas clearance, 50 to 70% off.
Yeah, look at that.
We only have 362 more days till Christmas. You might as well stock up.
Yeah, that's true. You know what's funny about that, too, is yes, at the front of, I think it was a TJ Maxx that I was in yesterday with the missus because she wants to go there just to be there. What is it with women in TJ Maxx? Can you explain that to me in 1 minute before we take a break and I'm done for the whole day?
They have
Do you
almost
like the TJ Maxx?
everything you need.
Okay.
Clothes, kitchen stuff,
Jewelry,
shoes,
and it's
accessories.
cheap.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Everything you need. That's it.
Okay. You know what TJ Maxx needs? I feel like I've talked about this before, but I'll talk about it again. A tool section in the back. Just one aisle so that I can go there with all the other guys who are stuck at the TJ Maxx and stand in the tool aisle until we're allowed to leave. Because that would be great. I go shopping with the missus. She tries on clothes and things, and I just have to stand there in the TJ Maxx till it's over. Give me one aisle of power tools, and that would be great. All right, we're out of here. We're done. No time left. I doubt TJ Maxx was listening, but that'll change the world if you make that a reality. Craig Collins filling in, Kylan hanging out on Kendall and Casey, 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, again, we're talking about peace with Ukraine. Well, peace for Ukraine. I'll explain after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in tax debt? Do not ignore this message. The IRS has more power than any collection agency in America. Often without warning, they can garnish your wages, levy your bank account, place a lien on your home, seize assets like your business, and revoke your passport. Every year, thousands lose their paychecks overnight or have their assets seized because they waited too long. You don't have to face the IRS alone. Call Federated Tax today. We'll connect you with an experienced tax professional who will negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. You may qualify for IRS hardship programs like the Fresh Start Initiative or many other programs that can stop garnishments, stop bank account seizures, reduce or eliminate penalties, and lower your settlement amount. You deserve to maintain your life. Don't let the IRS take it over. Make the call today to Federated Tax, 370-1384. The call and consultation are absolutely free. 800-370-1384. 800-370-1384.
You ready to build your custom dream home? Check out Joyner Homes based out of Greenfield. See one of their model homes in person anytime. It is a great way for you to experience the customization and quality of a Joyner Homes custom built home. Plus, you can meet with a new home specialist to learn about their building process. Available lots if you don't already have one. Find out about floor plans and where they build. Model homes are open 7 days a week from noon to 5 and walk-ins are welcome. Find out more at joynerhomes.com.
Weekday mornings at 7:15, the Tony Katz Popcorn Moment. Brought to you by Boer Remodeling. Don't wait any longer for the kitchen you've been dreaming of. Request a consultation at boerremodeling.com.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beat when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
On the level, on the go. 93 WIBC Indianapolis.
Coming up We will see some recovery on Tuesday.
Can't even spell learning right.
Other than us not winning, it's been an absolute blast.
Squatters have moved in using shadow leases on their phones.
This is the WIBC News at noon.
What forecasters are saying about those really cold temperatures, light snow flurries falling in downtown Indianapolis where it's 21 degrees, but it feels like it's -2. A wind advisory still in effect until 5 this afternoon. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending at noon. Forecaster Mike Ryan at the National Weather Service Indianapolis says we'll stay chilly this week with temperatures in the 20s, which is kind of normal for the end of December.
We will see some recovery on Tuesday, but then drop back down into the 20s later in the week before we start to rise again back into the 30s over the weekend. Quite a bit colder than what we've seen here over the last week, but nothing that's really abnormal for this time of year.
And Ryan says if you're heading out for New Year's Eve,
there is increasing signs that we're going to see some light snow during the evening into the early